Madam Clerk, I'm going to call you.
Who's going to call me?
Who's going to call you?
Who?
The president.
You're live.
Mr. President, we are ready to go.
Okay.
Live.
Very good. Meeting of the Essex County Board of Chosen Freeholders is hereby called to order due to the COVID-19 outbreak and to be in compliance with the governor's executive order. This meeting is being conducted remotely. The public is able to view this meeting via live stream on YouTube. A link is posted on the Freeholder website. To all participating in the meeting, please be mindful to put your microphone on mute until speaking. Additionally, please identify yourself by putting your name on the record each time before you speak. The general public will be able to participate by means of communication equipment. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Okay. Freeholder Cooper, absent. Freeholder Graham, absent. Freeholder Johnson.
Here. Here.
Freeholder Luciano. Freeholder Luciano. Absent. Freeholder Mercado.
Here.
Freeholder Pomares.
Here.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson. Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Here.
Freeholder Siebel.
Here.
Freeholder President Gill.
Here.
Mr. President, before you begin, just a note, Freeholder Graham had to take her mother to the hospital, so she may not be joining us at all tonight. Thank you. Could you hear me?
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll admit the salute to the flag since we're conducting the meeting remotely. However, for all those affected and or lost to COVID-19, let us pause for a moment of silence. We have lost 2,000 as of today, 2,069 souls. It's almost unbelievable to think since March 13th. Okay, before certification from the clerk that this meeting is in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Madam Clerk, are there any transcripts to be approved?
Mr. President, there are two. October conference board meetings, October the 7th, 2020 and October the 21st, 2020.
Okay, Freeholders, do you have any questions or comments? Okay, Freeholders, I have a motion from Freeholder Cooper and a second from Freeholder Johnson to approve the transcripts. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Mr. President, Freeholder Cooper is currently not here. Can we have someone else to move?
I'll do it, Madam Clerk.
Moved by Freeholder Pomares.
Freeholder Cooper, absent. Freeholder Graham, absent. Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano. Absent, Freeholder Mercado,
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares,
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson,
Yes.
Freeholder Sebo,
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill,
Yes.
so moved.
Okay, Madam Clerk, let's move to new topics of discussion. Are there any topics of discussion?
Yes, Mr. President. We have, Mr. President, we have an overview from the administration on the vaccination program.
Great, thank you.
There's a little box with three things, you click it.
Ready, Mr. President?
Yeah, we're ready.
We're ready.
Thank you. As you know, the County of Essex, with the support of the board, is moving aggressively to establish.
We're doing the PowerPoints now, right?
To establish a vaccination program for our county residents. And this afternoon, we have Under Sheriff Figliolo, Captain Esposito, and our Health Officer, Maya Lordo, who I believe is calling in to make a brief presentation. I know some of the board members attended the press conferences, have seen it, some of the things that are going on, but to give everyone an overview of that vaccination distribution program. We'll start off with, I believe, Under Sheriff, you want to start us off, and then we'll go to the captain?
Sure. Good afternoon, Freeholder President, Freeholder Vice President, Freeholders. Thank you for having us on today. I am on with Captain Esposito. We're going to be going over the vaccination program. I will give you a brief oversight, and then Captain Esposito will show you the presentation so you could have a visual idea how this is going to work. So the way we handled this vaccination program, we broke down the county into 5 zones. The reason for it is because the health officers, there's 12 health officers in the county, and most of them are responsible for 2 to 3 towns. Some only have 1 town they're responsible for. So we try to keep all the towns that health officer is responsible for in one zone, so they don't have to jump around, because there's a lot of data and information that they need to take in. So we try to keep them all in one location, so they have an easier time to do that. The 5 zones that we broke the county into is 1, and this is not in any specific order. Site number 1 is Kmart and West Orange. Just a quick note on that. So we were able to secure 2 major locations, 2 big stores that have gone out of business, and they are very large. So we consider those to be our mega sites that we're referring to. So going back to the sites, Kmart West Orange is location number 1, and that the towns located in that store are going to be West Orange, Essex Fells, who share the same health officer, Cedar Grove, Montclair, Nutley, and Verona, who share the same health officer, and then Newark. Newark is allowed to use any of our locations since they have a very large population. One site would probably not be suffice, so the county executive has designated Newark to use all 5 sites. The second location is Essex County College. That site is going to host East Orange, Irvington, and Newark. They are all independent health officers, so each one will be taking care of their own towns at that location. The next site is West Caldwell Tech in West Caldwell, and those sites, those towns will be West Caldwell, North Caldwell, and Fairfield. Those are all the same health officer. The next towns are Bloomfield, Glen Ridge, and Caldwell. They are the same health officer. And then Roseland is an independent, is a single health officer, and Newark. The 4th site will be the Livingston Mall Sears. And in that location, Livingston and Milburn, who share the same health officer, Maplewood and South Orange, who are independent, then Belleville and Orange, who share the same health officer, and of course, Newark. And now we have added a fifth site, which is the Donald Payne Vocational School in Newark. And that location will also accommodate East Orange, Irvington, and Newark. So that is the breakdown of the towns. Now I'm going to turn it over to Captain Esposito so he can give you the breakdown by population and health officers. Captain Esposito?
Thank you very much. So if you will allow me to share my screen, I know the host has to allow that. All right, everybody can see the document on the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So the first, one second, I just have to resize this here. The first view here is a map of the county, just showing a basic overview of the layout of sites that we have. So as the undersheriff mentioned, the sites are spread out throughout the county and they are assigned to a geographical area based on the responsibility of the local health officers. Since the health officers, as he stated, in most towns do share services with another municipality, there are some cases where the site isn't adjacent to the town that the health officer serves, but we did do our best to group them. So as far as Newark, there will be 2 sites within the city of Newark. Both of those sites will serve the residents of the city of Newark, Irvington, and East Orange. You see the other site, Sears and Livingston, that he'd mentioned. Those towns are in and around that area with the exception of Belleville, and that's because Belleville has a joint agreement with Orange. And then you see the Kmart site listed on the map as number 4. So those are the municipalities represented there, as the undersheriff said. And then finally, site number 3, the number 3 on the map there, that is the West Essex VOTEC, serving those municipalities. Again, Glenridge and Bloomfield is combined into that site because of the shared services agreement with the local health officer. So just a quick population overview and assignment of the health officers. So we also tried to spread this out and keep in mind the health officers with respect to the population that they serve to make sure that the burden was spread out across them equally. So the first chart here represents the health officers and the total population they serve. As you see, when we get down to Group G, that's where we have 1 health officer serving more than 1 municipality, and the total population that one particular health officer serves is indicated on the right-hand side. Total approximately 800,000 residents with the total county population. The second chart that we have here is just the same information displayed alphabetically. And then going down to the actual site-specific information. So this is we're calling this location 1. Again, not in any specific order. This just corresponds with the numbers on the map for the presentation. This particular site is for the Essex County College, serving Newark, Irvington, and East Orange, a total population of 189,000 residents. And in this particular site, we're going to have 24 individual vaccination stations. And just give me 1 second because we do actually have a photo of that site for those of you who have not seen it yet, and just so the public can get an idea. This is what the site built out looks like. So on the far end where you see ECC, this is the Essex County College Gym. That is the registration area. The booths are where the inoculation and the actual vaccine would be administered. And then the chairs are the socially distant waiting area after the inoculation. The health officer could speak more to this. There's a minimum 15-minute wait period after the inoculation is complete. 1 second, let me just go back to the other screen. So that is the makeup of site number 1. As far as the second site, talking here about the Livingston Mall, the old Sears building. This will also serve Newark, as the undersheriff mentioned. Newark, we took their population and divided it equally amongst the 4 sites. This was prior to the 5th site being added. So the 5th site just allows more capacity in the area of the county where we have the highest density with respect to population, which is in Newark, Irvington, and East Orange. So Livingston, Milburn, Maplewood, South Orange, Belleville, and Orange, joint population served at this location, 229,000 residents. Very similar setup to the college. We have 24 separate vaccine stations at this particular location. The 3rd location, West Caldwell Tech. Again, Newark is represented at every site. West Caldwell, North Caldwell, Fairfield, Roseland, Bloomfield, Glen Ridge, and Caldwell for a total of 167,000 residents served at this particular location. Vaccination stations, slightly smaller than the other locations. So we have 12 vaccination stations here in this particular site. Kmart and West Orange, Newark, Cedar Grove, Montclair, Nutley, Verona, West Orange, and Essex Fells for a total population of 213,000 served. 24 vaccination stations. This is similar to Sears and the Essex County College in terms of capacity. And then finally, the 5th location, which will be additional capacity, where we have the highest density of population in the county, 189,000 served. So this is the same number you saw for the population represented at site number 1, but it adds 12 additional vaccine stations and another separate geographic location to expand the capacity that we have in this particular area of the county. As far as the timing is concerned and the amount of people, our initial goal is 1,000 as far as capacity. And we have an estimated throughput of 144 persons per hour. And that is to make sure we have adequate social distancing. That's to make sure that there's enough time to administer the vaccine and also have the mandatory 15-minute wait period, plus a buffer built in for anything that might come up where we need to serve anybody with their specific need. We'll have EpiPens and other medical supplies on board, or at the medical station within each one of these sites. And as far as my end of the presentation, that concludes it. Obviously, I'll still be on for questions, but I think the health officer might have to provide just a little bit more information, Maya, unless you want me to go into the specifics on more on the flow of the site, or are you going to handle that?
Eddie, why don't you explain that part? I don't think they're on.
Okay, so when somebody enters the site, the first spot of the site that they're going to hit is a pre-screening station. That's where they'll basically have a customer service oriented person that is going to ensure that they have an appointment. If they have any problems with their appointment or need any technology issues addressed with concerns of access or updating their appointment with their information, that's all going to be done at a pre-screening post at the initial entry point to the vaccine site. Then once all that is filtered out, people who have a confirmed appointment or any issues are addressed, they'll proceed to the formal registration area. There they'll receive their inoculation card. They'll be given a fact sheet and other information. They'll be formally checked in at that point, and they'll proceed to one of the 24 vaccination stations. They'll receive their vaccine from the medical staff that's on site there. Each vaccine station will have 2 medical personnel assigned to it, a nurse and another medical personnel that will do the charting. After they receive the inoculation, they're going to go to a data entry point where they will turn over their paperwork so that everything can be uploaded into the state system that's required by the Department of Health and the CDC to track all the vaccines that are given, and to also follow the workflow for the second dose 28 days later in the case of Moderna and 21 days later in the case of Pfizer. And then they proceed to the 15-minute waiting area. Again, we have a separate medical station. We will have medical staff, EMT, and a private ambulance to handle any issues that may come up in that waiting area. That concludes the presentation. On our end, if anybody has any questions, Mr. Administrator, and the entire board, again, thank you for the opportunity. And on behalf of the sheriff, as the county OEM coordinator, he thanks you for the opportunity to present this information.
Thank you. Thank you for that
Mr.
presentation.
President,
Yes, thank you.
Sheriff Figliolo. Sharon Guerrero, the health officer, she's also on the call if you have any questions from the health office.
Thank you. I just had a question that didn't have a chance to get asked in our last briefing regarding transportation, particularly for senior communities. Is there, and we might not just be at that step, or people who are in, if there are seniors or people who are in the cohort of that have transportation needs, or are we setting up any system to deal with that?
As part of the briefing, the South Orange Village president made a recommendation, I think that we liked, where we're going to try to schedule towns to come in a given window to bring people, if they have seniors, they could come then at one time. We're still kind of thinking that through, but I think that's the way we'll go. And Sharon can talk a little bit more about it, but basically that's the idea, is that we would say for, you know, South Orange, your window is Tuesday from 9 to 12. You can bring your seniors down for those hours, and we'll get them vaccinated. So because the system now is by appointment, it's 100% by appointment, but we could do a window there if we know that they're going to bring down 20 or 30 people. We can do that at one time and get everybody through and reserve time for that.
I have a few questions.
I'm sorry,
Mr. President.
Yeah, no, thank you. I just wanted to ask one follow up, and then I'll turn it over to you, Commissioner Siebold. So if again in our communities that have large scale senior senior buildings, for example, and where we have concentration of seniors, they would still have to make an appointment through the either telephone or through the website. Correct? They would under the way it's set up now.
That is correct. That is correct. The folks in the senior buildings are not on that top right now, are not on that top priority list, like for those in long-term care facilities. But the idea is, again, we'll have to think it through and work it through a little bit more. But the idea being that if we could reserve time where a given town would have a window to bring seniors to come in, we would know how many are coming in and be able to do it that way. So that's what we're looking at. Okay. Nothing's been confirmed yet, but
yeah. So that no, totally understood. It almost would seem to me that we might want to give some serious consideration then to working with the working with our own department, our own senior outreach folks, and then when we get to this step, and then also coordinating that with the municipalities to see if they can, if we could open up that time slot, as you said, kind of set a set time, and then encourage those populations to, that population to participate at that time. Because I'm particularly concerned about, the bulk of that population that has zero access to, to any transportation. So getting them to the site is something that, again, like if you're in a building in East Orange, Irvington, or Newark, probably 2/3 of the building they don't drive. And getting, even getting in Newark, getting from, if you're on the west side of the city, getting to our downtown location is not easy, not going to be easy.
Understood.
Should I continue now?
Yep. Thanks, Commissioner.
All right. I have a couple of questions. Number one, who will provide the transportation? Will each town be responsible for providing transportation for the seniors, or will the county provide transportation? That's one question. My other question is that many of the seniors, you're talking about the fact that they don't drive, but they also don't use computers. So they're going to have difficulty signing up unless they use the phone. So if it's a senior building, can one person in that building who is responsible for work in that building and running the building make all the appointments for everyone who needs one? And also, my last question, and this was not discussed at all, when do you plan to open these facilities?
I'll let go ahead, Fitz.
Thank you, Administrator. So I'm going to start with the last question and work my way up. So the facilities are going to open based on when we are going to receive the vaccination. We have all our sites are about 95% complete. The only one we have left, we have to work on Sears a little bit, and then the Payne Vocational School. But we will probably be ready by this weekend, ready to open as soon as we get the vaccine. So the starting of the vaccine is based on when the state ships us the vaccine.
Now, according to the vaccine, when you get it, from everything I've read, the health officers, the doctors, the pharmacists, they're all the people receiving the vaccinations first, and the long-term care facilities. Then it's the elderly. Is that going to be the first wave that will go to these places? Will that be scheduled?
Sharon, you can probably answer that.
Sharon?
I just want to remind everyone, when you speak, please give your full name and your position or association. This helps with the transcripts when they're transcribed. Thank you.
Sharon, would you address that, please? She may not be able to.
She's muted.
She might be muted or can't get in. But in terms of your first question,
I think I could speak to that.
yeah, I can do. But go right ahead. Go ahead, Captain.
So you're correct. It does go to healthcare workers first. So they have 1A, phase 1A and 1B. 1B does include a more at-risk population, which also includes the elderly, first responders, things of that nature. But there's going to be an overlap between 1A and 1B, where there's going to be healthcare workers still being vaccinated at the same time as first responders and high-risk individuals. It also includes support personnel, essential personnel fall into that category as well as it expands out, as the need expands out.
So when these sites open, will high-risk people go first?
No, it would be the medical, as Captain said, the medical folks, as well as people who are, for example, working at the vaccination site. They would like to have those folks vaccinated first. But no, high risk or not in that first tranche of folks.
I understand that, and they're doing healthcare workers right now. But when these sites open, will high risk people be at the head of the line of those who will be receiving vaccinations?
I'm sorry, Captain Esposito. That's going to depend on what part of the phase we're at, and we have to take the direction from the State Department of Health and the CDC on that. If there's still a need to vaccinate healthcare workers, that's going to be where we start. And like the undersheriff had mentioned, the timing of when we receive the vaccine is also going to play into that. So to answer that right now and say, yeah, we're going to start with that segment of the population, if that's an unknown, that's a variable.
What about my other question dealing with the transportation? Will it be the town or the county who's responsible? And for the senior buildings, will one person be able to take care of it because people may not have internet, et cetera?
The transportation program for the seniors, as I said, is still a work in progress. So I would imagine it might be both at some point, providing that transportation, but that's still a work in progress. In terms of people getting, you can also register by phone. So you do not have to be computer savvy to register. You can register by phone.
And they can't have one person in the building take care of it for everybody?
That would be more of, I think, a building kind of a decision, but individuals can call up individually and make a reservation. It does not require computer to make a reservation.
I understand that, but there might be buildings where there needs to be one person who's handling it.
that would be up to the building management and the individuals in that building to make that kind of a decision.
Well, they ought to know about it.
Mr. Administrator, if I may add one thing to that.
Yes, sir.
Captain Esposito. So just to also fill you in, there are current discussions, and I think Sharon's having difficulty, like the undersheriff said, getting in to speak. There are discussions ongoing between the county health department and the local health departments, where that is a role that the local health departments are going to set up micro clinics within those high risk at-need populations within the municipalities where there are transportation issues. That was discussed on a call earlier today, and that has been discussed several times. There's just a lot of moving parts to it.
Okay, thank you. That helps answer the question. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm sorry if you could hear me now. Sharon Guerrero on the line.
Yes, we can, Sharon.
Hello? Okay,
We can hear you,
I apologize. I was having technical difficulties. If you need me to chime in, I'm here.
Thank you. You might just want to talk a little bit about the micro clinics that Captain Esposito was referring to.
Absolutely. So as we continue to plan for our vaccines, if we see that any needs arise as similar as you were talking about the senior buildings or anything, we will absolutely take those into consideration. And the micro clinics might be ran similar to our mobile testing sites, where we just go out and go near the building, and possibly not inside the building, but potentially right outside the building, and we can take care of those individuals right then and there. The registration process will still be the same, because we do need to capture those individuals' personal information and insurance information. If they're not insured, that's different, but we do need to capture that that first name, last name, date of birth, and other medical information for the vaccination. So just to chime in on the question of, can one person do it? If that person is someone that the individual is authorizing to do that on their behalf, then that's totally up to them. But as far as being accessible via phone for an appointment or online, we're open to that. We've been doing that with our COVID testing. We test seniors all the time. We accommodate all of their needs as far as if they have to call in. We make appointments for them. So that's been working for us for COVID testing thus far.
Any other questions? Okay.
Okay. Appreciate that. Thank you for taking the time. And thank you for the great work that you've been doing and continue to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Commissioners, any additional questions? Again, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to make the presentation today. And, we'll be back in touch, and we're here to support any way we can to help make this process go as smoothly as it can.
Mr. President, this is Under Sheriff Fitzfigliolo. I just want to take this opportunity to thank you and all the commissioners for your continuing support. As you know, we've been working very hard at this, but also we can't forget how much testing we've done since March 26th. So none of that would happen without your full support. And on behalf of the sheriff and the sheriff's office, we'd like to thank you for always supporting us on all our endeavors.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Absolutely. 100% behind you. And, like we said yesterday, I think at the press conferences yesterday was there just was a little bit of a good energy and a good feeling. I know we have a long way to go, but, if you didn't walk out of yesterday's press conferences feeling optimistic, feeling hopeful, and with the idea that we can now see the horizon and we'll be able to reach it, it just was a good day. So, so thank you for everything you've done to bring us to that point. And it was said yesterday, and I'll say it on the record. Essex County, again, has distinguished itself. There's no county in the state that is as ready as this county to follow up when these vaccines become available and when they become available in larger quantities. The foresight here was tremendous. The early work has clearly paid off. And you know, I have an opportunity to, through the New Jersey Association of Counties, to get a good feel for what other counties are doing. And to say this respectfully of our other colleagues, there's no one who is as ready to go as we are, you know, to do whatever is needed to get to help the state reach that 70% number. And that 70% number, a big chunk of that 70% is the 70% here in this county. So it is a big task in front of us. And again, everything you've done to get us ready for that is clearly, if we haven't said it, I recognize it. It should be congratulated. It should be thanked. And we're here to support you to continue the great effort and the great job that you're doing.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
With that, Madam Clerk, are there any other topics of discussion?
Mr. President, there are none.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. President, I believe I see a freeholder or commissioner. I'm trying to get that. Cooper may have joined us.
There you okay, recognizing freeholder. Oh, now you got me to representing Commissioner. We got a few more days left here. Recognizing Commissioner Cooper for the record. Madam Clerk, let's move to the public comment session. Today's meeting is a combined conference board meeting, and we will vote on every item on the agenda. However, since we're meeting remotely, the public had the opportunity to submit questions and comments for consideration and can also call in. At this portion of the meeting, the clerk will have additional instructions for our callers. Madam Clerk.
Mr. President, I'm going to ask the callers to be mindful of any electronic devices. They should be turned off. And at this point, I'm going to invite the public information officer to present the first caller if we have one online, and provide any additional instructions that may be necessary.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Shalom Alumba, Public Information Officer for the Essex County Board of Commissioners. All the callers on hold waiting to speak should be able to hear me. As a reminder, as Madam Clerk just stated, please make sure you unmute your phone before speaking. Please make sure you do not have tonight's meeting playing on any cell phones, laptops, or devices within earshot. There is a slight delay, so you cannot make comments and listen to the meeting on another device at the same time. The first speaker has a phone number with the last 4 digits ending in 3890. You have 3 minutes to speak. You may begin.
Matt Dragon, West Orange. On the resolutions, 2 questions with requests for formal responses. For resolution K12, can the administration please provide a copy of the civil filing that this contract is in reference to? I'm not asking for anything privileged, private, or confidential, just a copy of the public filing with the court as filed by the claimant that established this case and requires the contract to represent the county. And then number 2, was K13 pulled because the county changed the law firm it was going to use to handle this case, or should we expect that an additional law firm being paid up to another $100,000 is being used to defend the sheriff's office on this one case? Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker has a number with the last 4 digits ending in 7911. You have 3 minutes to speak. You may begin.
Yes, thank you. My name is Andrea De Hoyos, and I've listened very carefully to what you've been saying. So I'm curious how what I'm going to say is going to land for you all, because I'm calling regarding the topic of discussion, F1. So it's concerning to me that you have a buffer person on hand with an EpiPen. I know that we're trying to get to 70% immunity, So I'm wondering what statistics is the county looking at that prove that we're not already at herd immunity? I ask this because I know that we already have a significant number of our population at low risk, children under 16, people with type O blood type, people who maintain sufficient levels of vitamin D, zinc, copper, and hydration in their systems. We also know that naturally, without a vaccine, there's been a 98 to 99% recovery rate in under 7-year-olds. So there was an article that I read that says that the Essex County has chosen the Moderna vaccine. So I'm wondering if that's true. If that is true, I'm surprised because that company has made no consumable products and is essentially a startup. One Moderna scientist even described it as an investment firm that hopefully develops a drug that's successful. So my two questions here for the group, for the room, is why did the county choose this particular manufacturer? I'm also curious about what safety and efficacy data you're following. And also I'm wondering who's liable if the product does harm, which clearly you're prepared for with the buffer person. And so the reason I ask this too is because we all know that the mRNA is a brand new technology, that there are no longitudinal studies. And if you do any scratch the surface research, you learn that the vaccine doesn't prevent transmission, the vaccine doesn't stop the virus, and there have been unwanted side effects, including myelitis and anaphylaxis, which is why you have the EpiPen on hand. We know that SARS-CoV-2 is novel because of the spike protein that accesses the cell via the ACE2 receptor. The technology that is the messenger RNA tells the body to create the spike proteins, right, to stimulate the body's immune response to that protein, which then creates the conditions for autoimmune issues, either in the short term or the long term. So this
You have
Andrea, you have
30 seconds.
So finally, I just want to let you know that the reason why this vaccine came through on emergency authorization was under the pretense that there is no other treatment protocols available, but that's not true. There are actually many treatment protocols available, and so why isn't the county looking at those? And I know I'm running out of time, so I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Shallow,
The
just
next
hang on a
caller.
second. Shallow, would you hang
Sure.
on a minute? I would just ask that if, I want to make sure we have enough freeholders present. We need 5. Just keep your cameras on, or if you're going off camera, just please alert so we can make sure. It's important that we have 5 freeholders on it at all times. Thanks.
Continue.
All right, so continue. Okay. The next speaker is, I see the name here, Rosie Batista. Ms. Batista, please restate your name for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak. You may begin.
Hey, this is Rosie Batista. I'm an Essex County constituent, a proud grandma and a brand new grandma, and have some concerns and questions regarding the vaccine and the delivery of it. So I've heard from many sources, and most importantly, the Surgeon General, Jerome Adams himself, that people are still going to have to wear masks, socially distance, because even though you're vaccinated, it doesn't prevent infection. So my question to you all, please, is what reassurances can you give me that we can continue to make our own informed personal decisions, and that this is not going to be a mandated vaccine, especially because this mRNA vaccine is completely new, never used on humans before, and also that some of the warnings, concerns, and cautions about it is that it can affect women who are wanting to get pregnant in the future.
I'm
So,
sorry, Ms. Batista. Ms. Batista, please. Ms. Batista,
Yep.
please repeat your first question. You broke up. It was inaudible.
Sure.
Your first.
Okay. So I'd like to know what assurances you can give me that we can continue to make our own personal informed decisions about receiving the vaccine or not. And also, if we choose not to have the vaccine, can we still retain our freedom to function in the society, walking into stores, buildings. Thanks. And if we decide this is not a vaccine that we personally want to take, will there be any consequences to that? Especially because this is not something that has been tested on anybody before. And, you know, we want the right to be able to decide for ourselves, and maybe we don't want to take the vaccine right away. So those are my questions, and I know I have 3 minutes. It seems like you're not going to be able to answer me now, so I'd really love the opportunity to have some answers by email. So if that's possible, you guys have my email. Would that be possible?
All questions are answered in writing. So all questions presented during public comment, as is our policy and practice, are responded to in writing.
Okay, that's perfect then. Yeah, and also, since I have a little more time, the question is, I'd really like to understand why, if it's not preventing infection, why the vaccine, you know, why the vaccine if we still have to do all the other things that we're doing anyway and still have the possibility of being infected. So I'd like to understand what the point. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, that concludes the speakers waiting to speak on agenda items.
Thank you. Mr. President, I have a few public comments sent in via email. For agenda items, the first, there are 2 comments. The first one was submitted by Jeffrey Fell, Esquire of Short Hills, regarding ordinance 2020-00016. Dear Essex County Board of Chosen Freeholders, I respectfully request that this letter and exhibits be included in the December 16th, 2020 official virtual meeting public record. I respectfully request confirmation of receipt and distribution of this letter and exhibits to all freeholders prior to the virtual meeting. This letter incorporates and supplements all my earlier letters to the freeholders, including my July 8th, 2020, my August 3rd, 2020, my September 9th, 2020, October 19th, 2020, and November 6th, 2020 letters. On Monday, December the 7th, 2020, approximately 2:52 p.m., I received the attached written response from the board president that failed to respond to my November 6, 2020 questions, number 5-17. On Friday, December the 11th, 2020, at approximately 3:52 p.m., I received the attached written response bearing the affixed signature of the board's president to my outstanding November 6, 2020 questions, number 5-17. Some of the latter responses are disingenuous and patently false and therefore must be investigated. I respectfully request that the following new agenda and non-agenda items questions be read into the virtual public record at the appropriate times and subject to 2 separate 3-minute limitations. 1, is it politically and economically prudent for fiduciaries of public trust to grant retroactive salary increases while numerous municipalities and residents are confronting unprecedented financial burdens and strains due to COVID-19 pandemic? 2, why the delay in adopting an ordinance approving all the let me spell it because I'm not quite sure I'm pronouncing it correctly. NUNC Pro TUNC. Counselor, how is that pronounced?
You have it. You did it right.
Retroactive 2020 salary and other related benefit increases incorporated and appropriated within the county's adopted 2020 budget. 3, are county taxpayers entitled to a prompt oral response to all pertinent? Second, reading public questions before the board considers and takes official action on a second reading public hearing ordinance agenda item. 4, under developing case law, can monetary damages be imposed against a public official in his or her individual capacity for abridging, impairing, or limiting a well-established constitutional and statutory right? See Tanzan versus Tanvir, 592 U.S. Underline December 10, 2020. 5, under the developing case law, can a public official forfeit his entire public pension for certain criminal convictions related to the abuse of his or her official position? See State versus Zach, A-51118T1, and the time is up. Okay, the second submission is from Michael Cedrone of Stevens and Lee in Lawrenceville, New Jersey, regarding resolution item number 62. Okay. Dear Honorable Board of Chosen Freeholders, this firm is counsel to WellPath LLC, which submitted a proposal in response to bid request to provide healthcare services for inmates, detainees at the Essex County Correctional Facility for the Essex County Department of Corrections. Bid number 20-195, the RFP on behalf of WellPath. Please accept this letter in protest to the resolution proposed for adoption by the Essex County Board of Chosen Freeholders at their regular meeting on December the 16th, 2020, which would act to award the healthcare services contract to punitive second lowest bidder and an incumbent contractor, CFG Health Services, LLC. We request that the issues raised herein be considered by the county prior to the award, and that this protest letter be distributed to the Freeholder Board prior to the decision on the proposed resolution. Enclosed herewithin, please find the statement that we request to be read into the record for public comment on this resolution. In response to the RFP, the county received 2 sealed bids, included the lowest bid from WellPath in the amount of $49,025,880. The second lowest bid from CFG in the amount of $53,225,129. By the letter that same day, the county rejected WellPath proposals on the basis that it had been deemed non-responsive for submitting 2 price quotation forms with 2 different total prices. This decision was arbitrary and capricious and contrary to the local contract law. On November 19, 2020, WellPath timely filed a bid protest with the county, as the bid submitted by WellPath was the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. On December the 1st, 2020, the county rejected WellPath's bid protest. Thereafter, on December the 14th, 2020, a telephonic hearing was held before the county administrator, Robert D. Jackson. On December the 15th, 2020, the county administrator issued a final decision denying WellPath's bid protest. The RFP specifically states that the contract shall be awarded to the lowest responsible bidders meeting specifications. Time is up, and the balance of the letter, the whole document, will be entered in to the records. Mr. President, that concludes public comment regarding agenda items.
Madam Clerk, as you noted, all of these items will be responded to in writing, as is our normal process. Madam Clerk, do we have any ordinances or resolutions for introduction and first reading?
Mr. President, we have none.
Okay, Madam Clerk, do we have any ordinances or resolutions for listed purposes only?
Mr. President, we have none.
Okay, Madam Clerk, do we have any ordinances or resolutions on second reading and public hearing this afternoon?
Yes, Mr. President, we have two. Ordinance number O-2020-0016 and ordinance number O-2020-0017.
Okay, Madam Clerk, let's move to ordinance O-2020-00016 and read it into the record at a later time. I hereby declare the public hearing on ordinance O-2020-00016 open. Are there any written comments or any callers who wish to comment on this ordinance?
I'm going to ask our public information officer, do we have anyone in queue for public comment on this ordinance?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We do have a speaker. I will patch him through right now. The speaker is Matt Dragon. Mr. Dragon, please state your name on record, and you have 3 minutes to speak. You may begin.
Matt Dragon, West Orange. I would recommend you vote no for this ordinance as currently written. I know you all work very hard for the county and its residents, as does the county executive and the other folks covered by this ordinance. I'm not looking to take anything away from the time and effort you put in, and I wish for you to be reasonably compensated for your efforts. But given COVID and the crushing economic crisis that has followed, I would suggest that this is not the time to give yourselves and other high-up county officials raises. If some of these are required per contract, I understand there's nothing you can do. But I don't think there's a commissioners union you've agreed to these raises with. And so I would encourage you to forgo your raises and withhold Joe D's raise and any other raises that are not contractually required. Instead, you can give out 1,050 food boxes for the next few events, or fund a few more free COVID tests. And it's the right message to be sending to your constituents. Thank you.
Thank you. We do not have any other speakers wishing to speak.
Mr. McInerney, do you have any questions or comments?
No questions.
Mr. Parlavecchio, do you have any questions or comments?
No comments.
Freeholders, do you have any questions or comments? Just before we take this vote, I'd like to actually just on the record that and it's important that both my colleagues and the administration know this. I will be voting no on this ordinance. It is no reflection of the job that my colleagues do or the administration or our county executive, but for me as a personal choice, I just don't feel right with this timing at this point in time. So I will be voting no, but I want all my colleagues to know, and the administration and everyone else who's included, that it has nothing to do with your performance or whether you deserve a raise at this point in time. With that, Freeholders, I have a motion from Freeholder Johnson and a second from Freehold. I need another second.
I'll second.
Freeholder Mercado?
Yes.
Thank you. Do I have the same mover and second to approve the ordinance?
Yes.
Okay, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Sebo,
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson,
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares,
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado,
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano. Absent. Freeholder Johnson,
Yes.
Freeholder Graham, absent. Freeholder Cooper. Absent. Freeholder President Gill.
No.
So moved.
Okay, Madam Clerk, let's move to 2020-00017. I hereby declare the public hearing on ordinance 2020-0017 open. Are there any written comments or any callers who wish to comment on this ordinance, Madam Clerk?
May I ask if there's anyone in the queue to my public information officer? Mr. Malumba? Do we have anyone in our queue? Are you on mute? Mr. President, I'm going to pause for a moment. I'm going to ask just to make sure that we don't miss anyone.
Sure, no problem.
I'm sorry, it's breaking up. There are no, it's just choppy.
All right, do we have anyone in the queue?
No, we do
All right.
not.
Thank you. Mr. President, there is no one available.
No, we do not. There's no one in the queue.
Thank you. And Mr. President, we also have no written correspondence.
Great. Mr. McInerney, any questions or comments?
Mr. President, this is not a new financing. This was an ordinance to make some changes in the way that the funds were originally set up in the budget. Other than that, I have no problem with this.
Okay, Mr. Parlavecchio?
No questions.
Freeholders, questions or comments? Okay, I have a motion from Freeholder Luciano and a second from Freeholder Mercado to close the public hearing on 2020-00017. Do I have the same mover and second to approve the ordinance?
Yes, you do.
Yes.
Thank you. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper. Absent. Freeholder Graham, absent. Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Absent. Okay. Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Very good. Moving to resolutions number 1 and 89, which are from the Office of Management and Budget, which we can read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson, please explain the resolution.
Certainly, Mr. President. Ms. de Blasio and Mr. Acker are here to address these items.
Thanks, Robert. It's Mark Acker's record. This is the typical time of the year where we're allowed to make transfers between budget appropriations. This is a transfer in the amount of $1,021,000. It's coming from areas where we have the money available. And Annette, maybe you can talk about where it's going.
Sure. Good afternoon, freeholders. Annette de Blasio, Office of Management and Budget. So the salary and wages are again cleaning up some minor adjustments through payroll 26. They are coming from areas where there is a salary savings. Most of the items have been brought to Office of Management and Budget by the directors. So in the instance of Public Works, Director Sanjeev has requested additional funds to support his needs. And Parks, again, has requested some extra funds to support their December snow projection needs. If there's a particular item in specific, I can answer that. If not, it is just cleaning up some projections that have come to our office since our first transfer resolution.
Very good. That just covers resolution. That's just number one, Mr. Jackson, or is that 1 and 89? Just before I go through, is that 1 and 89 together or just one?
I'm sorry, I was on mute. Mark and Annette, if you could do number 89 as well, which is the cancellation.
Oh, okay. Again, it's Mark Ash, Director of Finance. The cancellation is in the amount of $8 million, and it's taking available positive variances that we project through year end and canceling them so they'll go back into the current budget into fund balance. And it's necessary as we try to manage our position where we'll be at the end of the year relative to fund balance. In conversations with the county exec, we have a range where we'd like to be at 12/31 with our fund balance, and this will go a long way to get us towards that number that the exec is looking for.
Okay, Mr. Pelvecchio, resolution 1 and 89. Any questions?
I don't have any questions on those. Thank you.
Mr. McAfee?
Yes, the transfer resolution is pretty standard at this time of year, just to resolve it or reconcile any overages that we may have in certain areas. Cancellation resolution is really important. As we cancel it within the year, as Mr. Acker said, it goes straight to fund balance. Those unexpended balances will go straight to fund balance as long as we cancel before the end of the year. If we do not, then you'd have to wait a full year for the 2020 budget to lapse in 2021, December 2021, in order to take availability of that $8 million. So this is a prudent measure to get that money in fund balance a lot faster than typically we would.
Okay. Freeholders, do you have any questions or comments? Freeholders, motion. I have a motion from Freeholder Mercado and a second from Freeholder Ramirez to take resolution 1 and 89 as one. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder. Freeholder Cooper. Absent. Freeholder Graham, absent. Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Sebo.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, Madam Clerk, we'll move to resolution number 2. Number 2 has been withdrawn. Moving to resolution number 3. If we can move to the record at a later time, Mr. Jackson.
Mr. President, Our Chief Information Officer, Mr. Hunt, will handle items 3 and 4.
Carl Hunt, Chief Information Officer. Number 3 is for the hardware equipment for the technology built for the Dr. Martin Luther King building. It's for $437,492. We are trying to move forward on this equipment sooner than later as the prices are changing every week. This is for all of the technology equipment for this building.
Mr. President, just a point of clarity. Resolution, you asked only for resolution 3, and there's a reason for that because resolution 90 must be passed before resolution 4.
All right.
Just a point of information.
Okay, thank you.
So do you want me to do a 90 now?
No, actually, I'm going to have Mr. Coltre do number 90, which is the list of qualified vendors, and then Carl, you'll come back for number 4.
4, okay.
We should do number 3 first, though, Madam Clerk, and Mr. Jackson, I think. That,
if you wish, President.
am I wrong on that? I mean, do we have to take number? We can go to 90. We can do 390 and number. I'm going to play these numbers tonight if I'm able to get out of the house, but we're going to do 390 and number 4.
Yes, yes. We would vote on number 3 separately.
All right. Okay, so let's take let's just continue with number 3. So Mr. Parlavecchio, questions on number 3?
No questions on that one.
Mr. McInerney, any questions on
No
number
questions.
3? Okay, Freeholders, any questions on number 3? Okay, hearing or seeing none, I have a motion from Freeholder Pomeroy and a second from Vice President Richardson. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Sebold,
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson, Richardson, you have to unmute.
You got 90.
Yes.
Thank you. Freeholder Pomares,
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado,
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano,
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson,
Yes.
Freeholder Graham, absent. Freeholder Cooper,
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill,
Yes.
so move. And may I remind you, if you're not speaking, please stay on mute.
Mr. Coltre?
Moving to resolution number 90. Thank you.
Can you see me? I can hear you.
Okay. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Julius Coltre, Deputy Administrator and Purchasing Agent. In the last few weeks, we have gone out for a list of qualified vendors for accounting and software conversion services for our office. We qualified 2 vendors who came in and were responsible for all the documents needed to be qualified for this particular service. They are New Jersey Governmental Service, LLC, and Fenmore Armour and Associates of West Orange. Both agencies are from West Orange. We're asking that both these vendors be qualified for the service, and in a later resolution, you will see that the administration has chosen one of them.
Okay. Mr. Parlavecchio.
I don't have any questions.
Okay. Mr. McInerney.
No questions.
Okay, so we're going to take 90 then, Mr. Parlavecchio, before I get through, we're taking 90 separate, or are we going to take 90 and number 4 together? we can take 90 and 4 together, or do we need to do number 90 as a standalone?
90 and 4.
I mean, but the reason I'm asking is because I've been given this message that 90 must be passed before 4, but.
Okay, then we need to take 90s as a standalone.
Okay.
Taking notes and reheating them or nuking them? How you gonna?
Okay. So number 90, Mr. McInerney? No questions? Okay. Freeholders, any questions on number 90? Okay, seeing or hearing none, I have a motion from Freeholder Vice President Richardson and Freeholder Siebold to take Resolution 90. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham, absent. Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebold.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, moving to resolution number 4, which we can read into the record at a later time. I think it was already explained. Mr. Parlavecchio, questions?
No additional questions.
Okay, Mr. McInerney, any additional questions?
No questions.
Okay. Freeholders, any additional questions? Okay, I'm going to have a motion from Vice President Richardson and a second from Commissioner Siebold for resolution number 90. Roll call, Madam Clerk. Excuse me, number 4.
Number 4, yes. Freeholder Siebold.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham, absent. Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, moving to resolution number 5. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. President, this is a contract with Election Graphics to provide project manager services for our new voting machine implementation contract for June 30th, 2020 to June 30th, 2021. This is for oversight for that process. However, that continues to evolve. And the original contract was from January 28th, 2020 to June 5th, 2020. Of which we've expended $29,000. And again, here, this contract is not to exceed $110,000, but if there's no effort made with respect to the rollout, then there will be no dollars expended. But this just covers as our voting processes continue to evolve.
Okay.
No questions on this one.
McInerney?
No questions.
Okay. Freeholders, any questions or comments? This would have been the same. This would have been the same firm that we were going to hire, or I forget. Did we hire them before when we thought we were going to make this change before the pandemic?
That is correct, Mr. President.
Okay. So essentially the same services and concept.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Freeholders, I have a motion from Commissioner Siebold and from Commissioner Cooper. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
I'm going to follow your lead and say Commissioner this time. Commissioner Siebold. You need Commissioner Siebold, please unmute.
I'm sorry, my sound went totally off.
That's okay, Commissioner Siebel.
We are voting on which number?
On 5, Resolution 5.
Yes.
Commissioner Vice President Richardson. There's something wrong with your sound.
There's been something wrong with my sound.
I have a yes from Freeholder Vice President Richardson. Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
I gotta switch back. Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Graham. She's absent. Commissioner Cooper.
Yes.
Commissioner President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
And Mr. President, if I can just, for the sake of Freeholder Richardson's vote, I did see him, his video is on, he gave a thumbs up just to make sure that the record is complete. So I did take that as an affirmative vote. And I'm reading his lips now. The sound is low.
Yes.
If I could interject, Freeholder Vice President Wayne Richardson seems to be having the same trouble I'm having because I'm not doing anything but just sitting here and watching. And all of a sudden, I can't hear anything. And for a while, I lost the picture totally. So I don't know what is happening.
So noted. Mr. President, would you like to continue?
Sure. Resolutions number 6 through 12. Number 13 has been withdrawn. 6 through 12, which is on the Office of the County Council. You can read them in the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Council Gassion is going to address these. I must say she's looking way too comfortable with the fireplace in the background.
Yeah.
No, I didn't get this point, Courtney.
Thanks for pointing that out, Robert. I'll be expecting many no votes on my resolutions. So resolution 6 through 12 are from the Office of County Council. Resolution number 6 is an amended memorandum of agreement between the County of Essex and the Public Employee Supervisors Union as it relates to supervisors. This is a MOU that had come before the board back in November. This is just a housekeeping item. There was some language that was inadvertently left out of the MOU. This is just inserting that language back into the MOU between the county and PSU for the Supervisors Union. The period of that MOU is January 2020 through December 31st, 2023. Resolution number 7 is essentially the identical housekeeping item, same contract year, same union, except it is for the administrators of the PSU union. And again, this was an MOU that was previously approved by the board at the 11/9 meeting. Any questions on 6 or 7 before I move on to the remaining resolutions?
Through you, Mr. President, a reminder, you need to be on mute. We hear someone's conversation.
Okay, Courtney Gassion, Essex County Council. Resolution number 8 is the approval for the list of qualified outside legal counsel. These are attorneys that are licensed to practice law in the state of New Jersey, and they're eligible for selection on cases throughout the calendar year 2021 in the event that the county requires outside legal services. This is the list similar to the ones we bring before you this time every year. We seek RFQs from qualified attorneys in November. We make our selections based on the criteria, and then they become part of our RFQ list. In the event we have the need for outside legal counsel during the following calendar year, this is the list that we will pull those attorneys from. All the attorneys, as I mentioned, are practitioners licensed to practice law in the state of New Jersey. Resolution number 9. This is a request for an approval of the list of qualified licensed court reporters eligible for selection on a case-by-case basis for rendering services to the County of Essex for the calendar year 2021. This was also an RFQ, similar to the outside counsel list. This will allow the county to have a qualified list of court reporters that we can use during calendar year 2021 for the purposes of depositions and hearings. Resolution number 10 is the request for an approval of list of qualified licensed real estate appraisers to render appraisal services to the county for the calendar year 2021. This was, again, a yearly request that we put out through the publicly advertised RFQ process. Individuals that respond, as if they are rendered qualified, they become part of that list, and we can utilize them for appraisal services on an as-needed basis during the following calendar year. And this is generally when we have the need through when we have real estate transactions that require appraisal services take place. Resolution number 11 is a request for approval for a professional services agreement to provide legal services regarding the matter of the Division of Mental Health Advocacy versus Essex County Hospital Center with the law firm of Inglesino, Webster, Scala, and Taylor. The term of the contract is September 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2020, in an amount not to exceed $10,000. This was a small case that we had asked one of our outside counsel to handle, as they do handle our mental health hearings on a bi-monthly basis at the Essex County Hospital Center. This was a matter that was initiated by the Office of the Public Defender against the Essex County Hospital Center as it related to a discovery issue. And this firm handled that matter for us pursuant to an order to show cause. The matter is now concluded. It was resolved through a settlement between the parties. Finally, resolution number 12 is a professional services agreement to provide legal services regarding the matter of Abdul Ahad et al. Versus Essex County Sheriff's Office. This is a request to utilize outside legal counsel with the law firm of Ranone, Coughlin, and Minicello in an amount not to exceed $100,000 for the term of January 1, 2021 through December 31st, 2021. They will be representing the Essex County Sheriff's Office, who has been named as a defendant in this matter. In this same case, there's also several individual sheriff's officers who have been named. We will be coming before the board at a future time for outside legal counsel representing those individual officers. Thank you. I'm happy to take any questions the commission may have.
Okay, Mr. Parlavecchio.
Thank you. Courtney, just as to 6 and 7, which are housekeeping issues on some memorandum of agreement, are there any other bargaining units that need to be cleaned up similarly to this, or these are just 2 standalone agreements that need to be fixed?
So these are the only 2 MOUs that require cleanup as it relates to the addition of this language. There are still 5 outstanding collective bargaining agreements that have not been finalized in negotiations, but these are the only 2 that require the cleanup language be inserted.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. McInerney.
I have no questions on this, Mr. President.
Okay, freeholders, questions or comments? Okay, we have a motion from Freeholder Cooper and a second from Freeholder Johnson, taking resolution number 6 through 12 as one. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebel. Freeholder Siebel. You're muted. You need to unmute.
I know I'm muted. Respond, click on.
Freeholder Siebel,
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson,
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares,
Yes.
Freeholder McCarter,
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano,
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson,
Yes.
Freeholder Graham, absent. Freeholder Cooper,
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill,
Yes.
so moved.
I'm sorry, Madam Clerk. And Mr. Parlavecchio, I need to change my vote on number 8 to present, not voting.
Okay. Madam Clerk, you'll note that on number 8.
Yes, Counselor.
Okay. Moving to resolution number 13. Number 13 has been withdrawn. Moving to resolutions 14 and 96. Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Hunt will handle item 14 and Director Keisha Burnett will handle 96. Carl?
Carl Hunt, Chief Information Officer. Number 14 is for additional laptops for the folks that's working from home remotely because of COVID ID. So these laptops are just for totally Essex County remote utilization.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Keisha Burnett, Acting Division Head of the Division of Family Assistance and Benefits, addressing item number 96, requesting the extension for the Hudson Community Enterprises extension for security for DFAB. Their contract currently would end on December 31st. We need more time to negotiate and reevaluate. So I'm respectfully requesting that this extension be passed.
And just, if I may, Mr. President, just a note on number 96, we did declare an emergency so we could handle this ongoing need for security while we address the issues that Director Burnett raised.
I have a question about number 14.
Okay.
At the leadership meeting, we were told that the CARES money will take care of that. And it wasn't mentioned. I just wanted to make sure that's what's happening.
So, Commissioner Siebold, this is once again Keisha Burnett, Acting Division Head. I have obtained additional COVID money from the Division of Family Assistance and Benefits to cover this cost.
Thank you.
Freeholder President, I have a question.
Sure.
So these laptops are going to be given to employees to utilize?
These laptops will be, Carl Hunt, Chief Information Officer. These laptops will be given to employees from DFAP so that they can perform their duties remotely to be able to access the system and access the state so that they can get their jobs done completely. These laptops also will have on the Essex County security, therefore preventing any viruses from accepting our network.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Mr. McInerney, Mr. Parlavecchio, any questions?
Thanks. Just quick on 96. This emergency extension, this will prevent any lapse in security services, I presume, correct?
Yes, this is acting, Division Head Keisha P. Burnett. Yes, that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. McInerney.
Yes, on the purchase of computers under the state contract, according to the certification of funds in the decision memorandum, it indicates that it's coming out of the current budget, not out any grant funds. So is there a reason for that, or are these grant funds already secured, or just wondering why the certification doesn't indicate that they're grant funded?
I don't have the answer to that question, Mr. McInerney. We do have grant money to cover this. I can't speak to it specifically. We will get the answer and get back to you.
Okay, thanks.
Freeholders, additional questions or comments? Okay, I have a motion from Freeholder Johnson and a second from Freeholder Luciano on resolutions 14 and 96. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper,
Yes.
Freeholder Graham, absent Freeholder Johnson,
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano,
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado,
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares,
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson,
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel,
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill,
Yes.
so moved.
Okay. Very good, Madam Clerk. Go on to the second round of numbers that I'll play later tonight, 15, 17, and 95. We can read them into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Director Brown will handle items 15 and 95, and Mr. Woods will handle items 16 and 17. To keep the confusion going. Mr. Brown.
Good evening, Mr. President and freeholders, or I'm sorry, commissioners. This is Maurice Brown, Director of Senior Services. I'm filling in for the Acting Director, Deputy Director Terrence McCoy as it relates to Code Blue. In late November, the state, the New Jersey Human Services, provided Essex County with $545,000 for Code Blue. This was a very generous grant, and we're going to apply it toward Code Blue, which is the only thing it can be utilized for. The reason why we have 95 as the emergency is because we knew we had to insert the budget of $545,000. And just like this week, with the snowstorm, pending snowstorm that's actually hitting us now, we needed that emergency money so that the $545,000 that would take effect later with the RFP would be placed now. So we're asking for the $545,000 to be inserted from the New Jersey Human Services with no match from the county. And we're also asking that this emergency fund be inserted so that we can call a Code Blue, which we did already, but we can pay these shelters that we're going to be utilizing now. Any questions?
Michael, would you like to cover 16 and 17?
Yes. Good evening, freeholders. My name is Michael Woods, work with the Division of Community Action. These two resolutions, 16 and 17, are seeking to just increase the amount of time for the contractual agreements between these community service-based providers who are the Homeless Trust Fund, item 16 being for the domestic violence program that we have, and item 17 being for the senior program. In consultation with the county administrator's office and county council, it was suggested that we, because of COVID, extend these to be 2-year grants. We had intended in the beginning, but it was going to be an option at first. But now we just want to make it 2 years to ensure that we can serve as many folks as possible during trying times. I'll be on the call if you have any questions about this particular item.
Okay. That included, and we touched on 95, correct?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Mr. Parlavecchio.
I don't have any questions.
Mr. McInerney.
No questions.
Freeholders, any questions or comments? Okay, I have a motion from Freeholder Luciano and a second from Freeholder Mercado, 15, 16, and 17, and number 95 as one. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Siebel,
Yes.
Commissioner Vice President Richardson, Counselor, I see a visual thumbs up.
Double thumbs up, that's it. This is like doing a deposition. You have to kind of keep the picture.
That is a yes from Commissioner Vice President Richardson. Commissioner Pomares,
Yes.
Commissioner Mercado,
Yes.
Commissioner Luciano,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Graham, absent Commissioner Cooper. Yes. Commissioner President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, moving to resolution number 18, which can read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Yes, Mr. Martinez is here to address this item.
Good evening, Commissioners. This is Jason Martinez, Director of the Youth Services Commission. Today we're requesting the approval for a sub-agreement with the continuation of the Truancy Alternative Program, the TAP program, with the City of Newark Municipal Court in the amount of $72,868. One of the components for this program is to follow up with the student, parent, or guardian appointments to ensure that the participant is complying with the Truancy Alternative Agreement. That's all I have. If there's any questions.
Okay, Mr. Parlavecchio.
No questions.
McInerney.
No questions.
Okay, Freeholders. Hearing or seeing none, I have a motion from Freeholder Mercado and a second from Freeholder Pomares. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Siebel,
Yes.
Commissioner Vice President Richardson, Counselor, do we?
Which I would take as an affirmative vote.
Okay, Commissioner Pomares,
A yes and a thumbs up.
Commissioner Mercado,
Yes, and I get 2 thumbs up.
Commissioner Luciano,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Graham, absent Commissioner Cooper.
Yes.
Commissioner President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioners. Have a good night.
Thank you. Moving to resolution number 19.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Smith.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. President. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Eric Smith, Senior Data Processing Programmer for Division of Senior Services. Item number 19 is a budget insertion from the state for fiscal year 2021 for the statewide respite care program in the amount of $594,515. The statewide respite program is a program that provides periodic relief for caregivers of frail and elderly seniors and/or impaired adults, as well as emergency services when a caregiver is incapacitated. Thank you.
Okay,
You have any-
Mr. Parlavecchio.
No questions.
Mr. McInerney.
No questions.
Okay. Freeholders. Okay, I have a motion from Freeholder Primaris and a second from Vice President Richardson. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
One moment, Mr. President. All right.
Reminding that it's withdrawn.
So a roll call, starting with Commissioner Cooper,
Yes.
Commissioner Graham absent, Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Luciano,
Yes.
Commissioner Mercado,
Yes.
Commissioner Pomares,
Yes.
Commissioner Vice President Richardson,
Yes.
Commissioner Siebel,
Yes.
Commissioner President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay. Moving to resolutions number 20 through 24, which we can read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. President, these will be handled by Director Mumford and Mr. Vieira. Mr. Mumford.
Commissioners, this is Michael Vieira. Commissioners, this is Michael Vieira. I'm the Director of Special Transportation Services for both the Division of Training and Employment and Senior Services. 20 to 23 are for training and employment. So number 20 is basically a contract between the County of Essex and Meadowlink for our WAVE transportation services. 21 is a contract between New Jersey Transit and the County of Essex for our Job Access Reverse Commute program. 22 is the budget insertion for number 21 in the amount of $675,000, which is 50%. The County of Essex has to match the additional 50%. And number 3 is the contract between Meadowlink Easy Ride and the County of Essex for those JARC services. And Mr. Mumford can do number 24.
Good evening, Commissioners. Item number 24 is a Federal Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act that comes from the New Jersey Department of Labor for us to provide services for disadvantaged youth who have dropped out of school, single parents, or do not have any kind of vocational training. Essex County College is the vendor that will be providing us, one of the vendors that will be providing that service to increase their adult basic education and GED prep so that they can move towards vocational training. I'm here for any questions.
Thank you. Mr. Parlavecchio.
No questions.
Mr. McInerney.
I think Frank's trying to call me that he's not.
Okay, yeah, I'm back on now.
He's back. Okay.
I don't have any questions on these, thank you.
Okay. Freeholders, questions or comments? Okay, hearing or seeing none, I have a motion from Vice President Richardson and from Commissioner Siebel for resolutions 20 through 24. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Siebel,
Yes.
Commissioner Vice President Richardson,
Yes.
Commissioner Pomares,
Yes.
Commissioner Mercado,
Yes.
Commissioner Luciano,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Graham absent, Commissioner Cooper,
Yes.
Commissioner President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay,
Thank you,
so
Commissioner.
Thank you. Now, for Resolution 25, which is from the Division of Housing and Community Development, would please read it into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. There are four communities that had 5 projects, primarily infrastructure projects, that they weren't able to complete by the June 30th, 2020 deadline. They've requested an extension of 6 months to get these infrastructure projects completed, and this would enable them to do that. There's no additional money, just additional time to complete the projects.
Mr. Prolecchio.
No questions.
Mr. McInerney.
No questions.
Freeholders. I have a motion from Commissioner Siebold and from Commissioner Cooper. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Cooper,
Yes.
Commissioner Graham absent, Commissioner Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Luciano,
Yes.
Commissioner Mercado,
Yes.
Commissioner Pomares,
Yes.
Commissioner Vice President Richardson,
Yes.
Commissioner Siebold,
Yes.
Commissioner President Gill.
Yes.
So moved. Mr. President, I'm bringing to your attention that Resolution 26 has been withdrawn by the administration.
Okay, moving to 27 through 31. Can read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Jackson, you may be on mute.
I was on mute. Thank you. Mr. Del Gaudio, Director Del Gaudio will handle these 27 through 31. Sorry about that.
Good afternoon, Board of Commissioners. Frank Del Gaudio, Director, Department of Health and Rehabilitation. Number 27 on the agenda is a change order to increase the funding to the contract for Clean Tech Services. They do our linen and laundry services. What happened with this contract is that it was funded for only 1 year. The amount should have been 160 instead of 80. So to bring us to the end of the year, we needed an additional $16,090 to fund this contract. This contract was put back out to bid back in October, and the results of that bid will come to you for review at the next meeting. Resolution number 28. This is a contract with Pino Associates for cost reporting services. This was a competitive contract that was advertised. Pino Consulting was the only responder to this competitive contract. I believe Al Pino is on the phone. If you have any questions for Mr. Pino, he is available for questions about this contract. This is a contract that's county-wide and also to help out the Hospital Center for Cost Reporting with our state funding, Medicare and Medicaid services, and also to do the indirect cost report for the county. Okay, so Resolution 29 is another competitive contract that was advertised for our pharmacy provider services. This is the largest contract that the hospital center lets. This was awarded, the recommendation for award is to IPPC Services. They're the current vendor for these services, and I believe Eli Korn, a representative from IPPC, is on the telephone to answer any questions about this contract.
Excuse me, through you, Mr. President, I just want to notify the vendors regarding Resolution 28 and 29. In order to participate, you must hit 0 so you can get online.
Okay, so Resolution 30 was a bid that was advertised to provide language interpretation services and translation services. These services are available to any entity of the county, all departments and divisions. It was done in several modes of interpretation services, which includes telephone interpretation, video interpretation, sign language interpretation, and actual on-site interpretation services. The recommendation for award goes to 2 vendors, the lowest responsive and responsible bidders, which is Ola Doctor and Worldwide Interpretation Services. Resolution 31 is a 2-year affiliation agreement with Rutgers University for their Biomedical and Health Sciences School of Health Professions. This is for our health information management. This is the second time we've entered into a affiliation agreement with Rutgers for these services. The students come on site and are trained by our department director to fulfill their master's level requirement. I think those are all for the hospital center. Would you want me to continue with Resolution 32?
Let's take 27 through 31. Mr. Parlavecchio?
It's a quick question, Mr. President, on 29, the pharmacy services. Mr. Delgodio, I know you said this is the same vendor for a new 3-year contract. How do the prices for the pharmacy services compare to the prior contract?
Okay, so what's happened it's a great question, and through you, Mr. President, what's happened over time is that this bid originally went out, it's a discount off the wholesale medication price. So it was awarded always to the vendor who provided the largest discount off of that wholesale price. So during the last bid period, it came in at 42%. This bid period, it's at 49% discount. But the services have changed dramatically in regards to access to emergency medications, electronic medication administration and reconciliation reporting. And the pharmacy has grown to provide those services free of charge to us. So this time around, to make it as a fair and open process, we asked for those services also to be provided. And those were included in the bid responses.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. McInerney?
Frank, are you saying those services weren't in the original, the previous contract?
Correct, they were not. We asked for them to be provided on the cost of the provider. Because what happens is with these electronic records, it saves money for both us and the provider for printing out reports. Right. The main thing, the provision of an electronic medication reconciliation process really assists. I know Mr. Korn is on the phone and he can express why this was important and how this was included into this RFP. We asked for it to be provided, at the cost of the contractor, and that's where we are, and that's what was presented in their proposal.
So I'm just trying to establish that you had greater value this time around than you did in the previous contract.
Through you, Mr. President, that is correct.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. President, just one last, if I can. I also
Sure.
want to, comment, Consulting. They've been with the county for
Right.
a very long time, as far as I can remember, doing the cost reports, and have provided very good work over the years.
Very good. Freeholders, additional questions or comments? Okay, taking 27 through 31. We have a motion from Freeholder Cooper and a second from Freeholder Johnson. For 27 through 31, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Siebel,
Yes.
Commissioner Vice President Richardson,
Yes.
Commissioner Pomares,
Yes.
Commissioner Mercado,
Yes.
Commissioner Luciano,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Graham absent, Commissioner Cooper,
Yes.
Commissioner President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay. Moving to 32 and 33, we can read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Del Gaudio will handle these items as well.
Okay, to you, Mr. President, Frank Del Gaudio, Director of Health and Rehabilitation. Resolution 32 is an increase in funding in a grant for, it's a comprehensive alcoholism and drug abuse services. It's an amount of $30,000. There is no county match required on this grant. What this is what we're going to do is, due to the pandemic, a lot of the agencies were not able to perform the services to our constituents in need of these services. So we're going to take this program on the road and do it in a mobile format, and that's what these funds are going to assist with. Resolution 33 is a grant from the county and city health officials for $30,000 for COVID-related expenses. There is no match from the county required on this. This money will be spent on signage for the county vaccination sites.
Thank you. Mr. Parlavecchio?
No questions.
Mr. McInerney?
So this 30,000 is in addition to any other COVID money that we received.
Through you, Mr. President, that's correct. It's an additional grant.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Freeholders, additional questions or comments? I have a motion from Freeholder Johnson and a second from Freeholder Luciano to take 32 and 33. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Cooper,
Yes.
Commissioner Graham absent, Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Luciano,
Yes.
Commissioner Mercado,
Yes.
Commissioner Pomares,
Yes.
Commissioner Vice President Richardson,
Yes.
Commissioner Siebel,
Yes.
Commissioner President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, moving to resolution number 34 through 40. Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Antonio is here to address these items.
Good evening, David Antonio, Department of Public Works. Item number 34, Department of Public Works, resolution of the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Essex for the procedure for administration and inspection of federal highway projects. Every 3 years, the County Department of Public Works must generate this document for submittal to the Federal Highway Administration and NJDOT. This allows and maintains our eligibility to receive federal funding. This is a routine document that's prepared every 3 years, like I mentioned. Item number 35, an agreement granting use and right of entry onto county road right-of-ways for the installation, operation, and maintenance of wireless communication systems, Extenet. The execution of this agreement will allow the county to have a mechanism to review and approve accordingly applications by Extenet Communications to install 5G wireless nodes on county road right-of-ways. Item number 36, professional services agreement for the engineering design services for the DPW Grove Avenue facility to Comito Associates, amount not to exceed $446,200. The county developed a RFP. There were 21 respondents. Responses were evaluated, and Gregory Comito and Associates was ranked as the highest proposal, and their cost fee was actually the lowest, hence the suggestion. The building proposed for Cedar Grove will incorporate two aspects. It will include the Essex County Sheriff's and Homeland Security Vehicle Command Center. This will be a central vehicle storage and dispatch facility for all Essex County Sheriff and Homeland Security vehicles. This will consolidate and house all the current multiple sites currently holding sheriff vehicle fleet. In addition, it will include the Essex County Department of Public Works sign shop, which is currently located at the Essex County Correctional Facility, Doremus Avenue. This will allow a proper location for the design, fabrication, and manufacturing of Essex County building and roadway signage. There will be office space, support space, conference rooms, and things of that sort. Mr. Comito is on the phone to introduce his firm himself, if there are any questions. Item number 37 is the execution of the it's a support resolution for the county's 2020 Transportation Alternatives Program application. The county is looking to submit an application through the competitive TAP program, an application in the amount of $962,000. This will allow the county to implement streetscape and other pedestrian improvements along Main Street from Park Avenue in the city of Orange to Scotland Road in West Orange.
It is dangerous. It is unlawful.
Item number 38.
Dangerous.
Excuse me, through you, Mr. President. Please mute your phone. We can hear your conversation. Please mute your phone. Excuse me, Mr. President.
Item number 38 is the approval of the 2021 Annual Transportation Program. This item has been before the board previously for a budget insertion. Today we're here because we need the formal authorization to submit this agreement to DOT. Item number 39 is for design engineering services from French and Parello to perform the required engineering documents and preparation of bid specs and such for the 2021 roadway resurfacing program. An RFP was prepared. There were 9 firms that responded. French and Parello's proposal was rated the highest and was also the lowest as far as cost fee being proposed. Item number 40 is for awarding to Sugar Group the street sweeping services from January 1st of 2021 through December 31st of 2022. They were the sole responsive bidder to the proposal. This will be a $1.265 million agreement. And item number 41 is to award a 2-year agreement to American Wear to furnish and deliver uniforms and cleaning services, not only for DPW staff, but also folks from the Parks Department. This is a 2-year agreement, not to exceed $310,000. Once again, they were the single sole responsive bidder. And that can, if there's any questions at this point, I'll gladly take them.
Wagner, excuse me, Mr. Provecchio.
Yes, and Mr. President, just to be clear, Mr. Antonio did 34 through 41. 41 was the combo Public Works and Parks. My only question is on number 38, the annual transportation program for David. The amount listed under that program, that's all reimbursable money, correct? Reimbursable by either state or federal DOT?
Through you, Mr. President, that is correct, 100% correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions? Mr. McInerney?
Yes, how does the DOT money at 9.7? That was very similar to what we got last year, isn't it? Or, I mean, as far as the grant goes, not talking about anything additional.
It's the same program as the one you remember from last year.
It's the same,
yeah.
Correct? Okay.
Exactly.
We did get some additional DOT money though throughout the year, I believe. In addition,
yes,
to this.
Right. That was 2 years ago, though.
Okay. So, thank you.
Additional questions, freeholders? Okay, hearing or seeing none, I have a motion from Freeholder Luciano and a second from Freeholder Mercado. We're going to take 34 through 41. Roll call.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
I meant Commissioner Siebel. Commissioner Vice President Richardson. Commissioner, we can't hear your audio. That I see that as an affirmative with a thumbs up for Commissioner Vice President Richardson. Counselor, you confirm that?
Yes, agreed.
Commissioner Pomares?
Yes.
Commissioner Mercado?
Yes.
Commissioner Luciano?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Graham, absent. Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Commissioner President Gill?
Yes.
So moved.
Great, thank you. This is should have noted this before we took the vote, but very excited to see and hopefully we win on the competitive grant on the Transportation Alternatives Program for the Park Avenue project. So look forward to the results of that. And please just ask, I know you will, but just you, Mr. Jackson, just keep us updated as soon as we hear if we are successful or not.
Absolutely.
Moving to resolutions 42 through 52, all in the Department of Parks. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Zates, Mr. President, will handle these items.
Sure, Joshua Zates, Essex County Park. Number 42 and number 43 are related in that number 42 is the mechanism to allow number 43. Number 43 is authorization from the Open Space Trust Fund for maintenance staff for the year 2021, amount not to exceed $5,016,653. Specifically, this is for salaries, overtime, and fringe. It includes 45 positions. The salaries are $2,839,630. Overtime is $550,000, and then the fringe is $1,627,022, which brings the total to the $5,016,553. Number 34 is an allocation for the Open Space Trust Fund not to exceed $150,000 for general improvements in 2021. This would include anything from some beautification of the various senior buildings, such as painting, spackling, stuff like that, as well as our picnic areas. Number
45 is an amendment to a sub-grant agreement for the 2020 Open Space Local Aid Program. If the board recalls, back in August, it approved various sub-grants to different municipalities, one of which was Caldwell. Originally, Caldwell had applied for and been awarded a grant for the Harrison School Field project. Since then, Caldwell has submitted a revised application requesting that the local aid grant award scope continues to the acquisition of approximately 1.4 acres of open space behind Bloomfield Avenue in Caldwell. And this is our authorization to do that. Number 46, 47, 48, and 49 are all various food items for the Turtleback Zoo, for the animals. Specifically 46 is an award to McRoberts Sale Co. to furnish and deliver frozen fish and vertebrates. Number 47 is a contract award to the two lowest bidders to furnish and deliver animal food and bedding. Number 48 is a contract award also to the two lowest bidders to furnish and deliver frozen and live animal food at the zoo. And number 49 is a contract award to Central Nebraska Packing to furnish and deliver frozen and live animal food. Number 50 is a contract award to Air System Maintenance and various HVAC services at the zoo. This is general HVAC repairs in the various buildings throughout the zoo. Number 51 is a contract award to Signal Electric Corporation to provide maintenance of the access control security systems at the various decks at the South Mountain Reservation Complex. Specifically, this would be for the computer networking as well as the access gates and ticketing booths. And number 52 is a contract award to Shoger Property Service for landscape maintenance at Cedar Grove Park. It would run April 1st of 21 through December 31st of 21, then pick up again April 1st of 22, and then end December 31st of 22 in an amount not to exceed $120,999.96. Happy to take any questions the board may have.
Mr. McInerney?
I did have a question on 43 that I did submit to Parks. Josh called me yesterday, and that was resolved. So other than that, I have no other questions.
Okay, Mr. Vecchio?
In that same vein, just to comment on 42, that's a resolution that comes to this board annually seeking authorization to allow for funds to be used from the Recreation and Open Space Trust Fund for the maintenance staffing. And it's an authorization that this board required from the administration probably 15 years ago. And it's a way for the board to keep tabs on how the Open Space Trust Fund is used. So I just wanted to make that as a comment. Many of you have seen it year after year, but it is something that this board does require in terms of its oversight.
Mr. President?
Yes, Commissioner.
Many of these items were discussed at the Open Space Trust Fund meeting, and they were approved. And I'm glad to see that they are on the agenda tonight. And I would remark that whenever we do something having to do with money being spent for the maintenance staffing and so on, I always ask at the meeting whether they will make sure that they consult Mr. McInerney before it comes to the agenda. So I'm glad you saw it, Frank, and asked your question.
Okay. Thank you. 42, 43. So do we go through how many of these from between 42 and 52?
We went through all of them up to 52, including 52.
Great. Okay. Any other additional questions? Seeing none, I have a motion from Commissioner Seabold and a second from Cooper to take a resolution to take 42 through 52 as one. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Commissioner Graham, absent Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Luciano?
Yes.
Commissioner Mercado,
Yes.
Commissioner Pomares,
Yes.
Commissioner Vice President Richardson. We're going to need your famous thumbs up. As witnessed by our counselor, that's
good.
a
Witness, yep.
that's a yes. From,
Video, we'll go
Vice
to video.
President. Commissioner Siebel,
Yes.
Commissioner President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, thank you. Resolutions 53, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item 53 is an approval of a contract with Aetna to provide for dental benefits contract for the year 2021, an amount not to exceed $1,370,000. As you may recall, when we moved into state health benefits in 2017, we offered our active employees and those retired officially retired at that point this dental coverage for no cost to the employees or to the retirees. This is that program continuing on. It's the same cost as last year, and again, no cost to our employees.
Okay, Mr. Parlecchio.
No questions.
Ms. McInerney.
No questions.
Freeholders. Are we suing? Aren't we suing Aetna right now? Unrelated to this?
Unrelated, yes.
Okay. I never understand this insurance stuff, but so this would not be uncommon to give our business to a vendor that we're currently locked into a lawsuit with.
It's I guess I should say it's not personal, it's just business. It's a good price for us, and they provide the coverage. It's
okay. Okay. Freeholders, additional questions? Hearing or seeing none, I have a motion from Freeholder Johnson and a second from Freeholder Luciano. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Siebel.
Yes. Yes.
Commissioner Vice President Richardson. I see a thumbs up as affirmative, as confirmed by our counselor. Commissioner Pomares.
Yes.
Commissioner Mercado.
Yes.
Commissioner Luciano.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Graham, absent. Commissioner Cooper.
Yes.
Commissioner President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, moving to resolutions 54 through 58, which we can read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. President, Mr. Coltrane will handle these items.
Good evening again, Commissioner. Can you hear me with my mask on? If not, we'll remove it. 54 was a bid to furnish and deliver clothing supplies for the Essex County Jail and the hospital center, not to exceed $450,000. The prior 2 years expended was $320,431.08. And there are 8 providers for various items that will be supplied. 55 is furnish and delivery Xerox paper for the county. The award is going to WB Mason, and they were the sole bidder. This is for $500,000. We expended up until today $241,641.07. The next one is a little complicated. It is our annual omnibus. We are asking the freeholders to do this for 1 year for $25 million. with the increase of prices, and you saw before with laptops and other items, and these are spread out over various you have a list, various co-ops, Bergen County, dues and memberships for elections, educational service, government expenses, Hunterdon County Co-op, legal notices, library and educational material, Morris County Co-op, New Jersey State Purchase Co-op, Somerset County Co-op, and Union County Co-op. So we use these co-ops for various purchases so we don't have to come back to the board, and the board has increased our ability to purchase to $175,000. And finally, we have vending machines throughout the county, and we have submission for culinary venture vending, and they are paying us, $170 per machine throughout the county. And finally, it's our office equipment repair service, which is not to exceed $199,220. We had 4 bidders, and this particular bidder is the new Verizon office equipment, and they are a new vendor. Any questions?
Carl Vecchio.
No questions.
No questions, Mr. President.
Thank you. Freeholders, additional questions?
Mr. President, I have a question for item number 56.
Commissioner Cooper.
56, did you say that is only for items that you intend to purchase from state contract vendors and co-ops, or did I misunderstand you?
It's predominantly from them, but there are other items. When we utilize, for instance, members to NJAC or other associations that we all belong to, you're allowed to use the omnibus. When we put our notices in the various newspapers, we use the omnibus. So it's a combination of all of our co-ops, state contracts, and other minor areas that we all have to provide services for and be members of.
All right, thank you.
Any additional questions? Hearing or seeing none, we'll take resolution 54 through 58. We have a motion from Freeholder Luciano and a second from Freeholder Mercado. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Cooper.
Yes.
Commissioner Graham, absent. Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Luciano.
Yes.
Commissioner Mercado.
Yes.
Commissioner Pomares.
Yes.
Commissioner Vice President Richardson. As witnessed by council and affirm a thumbs up, which is an affirmative in the yes.
And he's shaking his head up and down.
Yes. Yes.
President Gill.
Yes.
So moved. That's all.
Or 59, I should say.
Okay, I'm sorry. Want me to do it, Robert? No, I'm good. You go ahead. You just want to do it? No. Well, we'll just move on. The 59, Mr. President and members of the board, is a contract with Glenn Friesen, who provides photography services for the board and also for the administration in the amount of $60,000. $54,000 of that is with the county executive's office, and $6,000 with the freeholder's office. Let's see, 60 is a contract with Golden Star Video, who does a video recording of the board's meetings, and it's $995 per meeting. We spent $16,000 to date in 2020, obviously because there's not that much recording going on. And the amount of the contract is not to exceed $55,000. Item 61, still related to board meetings, is a contract award to Audio Digital Transcription Service, LLC, in the amount not to exceed $50,000 to provide transcription services for the freeholder meetings in 2021.
Mr. Parlecchio?
Just a comment on the three of these, since the board uses the services of these people. These are all not to exceed contract. As Mr. Jackson said, based on usage, and usage for a lot of these services were down in 20. So the corresponding expense was down.
Okay. Mr. McInerney?
No questions.
Okay, great. No issue with any of these. I guess the transcripts would still be roughly the same, but the recordings, I understand, right? Because we're not recording these meetings or providing them outside of when they appear.
Right. For special events.
Right. So generally, we don't utilize Jerry for any special outside. Yeah, I guess only freeholder events. We only record.
Right.
We're making presentations. So we have not circulated, even though these are recorded meetings, we have not circulated these recordings in a similar manner that we did when we have a meeting in person.
Mr. President, for clarification, we use them for, he still provides the service of making sure that these meetings are on cable. What's different is he's not been in physical, in 506 to record the meetings and then present them the cable. He takes these meetings and presents them the cable. We also don't have the special presentations, which we had at least 10 a year. That did not happen due to COVID pandemic. So a significant amount of services he provided due to this pandemic has just not happened. But we still utilize his services to make sure that these meetings get on our cable channels.
I see. But he's submitting the recording from the go-to meeting provider.
Yes.
Okay.
He does some post-production problems, making sure, that, the opening we have is there and that all the titles or names are under people. He does that post-production problem. He doesn't change anything that happens in the meeting. He just adds, additional information as far as titles and things like that.
Right. I haven't seen it in some time, but have we distributed a memo saying when those meetings appear?
I believe that they are forwarded when we receive it, but I can follow up and make sure that everyone has that information.
Great. Okay. Great. So for the question, I don't have any further questions, freeholders. I have a motion from Freeholder Mercado and a second from Freeholder Pomaris. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Siebel.
Yes.
Commissioner Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
That's enough. Oh, we got a yes. Audio. I got an audio that time, Counselor. Commissioner Pomaris.
Yes.
Commissioner Mercado.
Yes.
Commissioner Luciano.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Graham, absent. Commissioner Cooper.
Yes.
Commissioner President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
into resolutions 62 through 65 and number 91. Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Director Ortiz is here to address these items. Director Ortiz, we can't hear you.
You may have to hit 0 on your phone.
Did you hit 0, Director?
He says he's off mute. He says he's on mute.
Did you hit 0 though?
Yeah, but I'll just tell it to him by now. So
it never fails.
oh yes, is that him?
Is that you, Director?
You have to hit 0. I did it on the can you hear me?
It's choppy, but
It's very choppy, Director.
0, Director? Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes. I know you guys can hear my vendors. I'm talking about the freeholders. I'm hitting 0.
We hear you. I'm told by our technical people that it's on, the issue is on his side.
On my side.
Yes.
Very choppy, Director. Hold on 1 sec. I'm calling from my cell phone now. Yes. Okay. All right, let me take it off speakerphone.
Getting off the speakerphone might help. I think the best thing to do is to hang up and call back.
I will do that. I will do that. I'll call it back. My people stay on the line. All right, my people stay on the line.
Mr. President, we should expect him to call back in a few seconds.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yeah, that's much better.
Yes, we can, Director.
Okay. Sorry about that. I have my vendor on another line, and I'll put my phone close to them so they can speak. All right, item 62. Contract for CFG Health Services, lowest responsible bidder. We have representatives for them. I'll go right through the line, then I'll bring my representatives. Item 63, Department of Corrections contract award to Ironbound Medical for a new hire physicals. Item 64, Department of Corrections contract award for Maple Crest Ford for a purchase of a Ford Explorer vehicle to augment our fleet. Item 65, Department of Corrections contract award to SHI International. Mr. Hunt will be speaking on that particular item. And the other item, last but not least, is item 91, contract award to DCO Energy, the sole responsible bidder, to provide total building maintenance for a 2-year agreement. Mr. President, first of all, Al Ortiz, Alfaro Ortiz, Director, Essex County Jail. In whatever order, my vendors will begin. Hello?
Okay.
Hello?
Perhaps you should, ask directly the name of the vendor
Okay.
you wish to begin.
Here we go. CFG, Mr. Pascal, CEO, can you speak to the freeholder board and then they'll ask questions?
Yes, thank you very much, Director Ortiz. This is Les Pascal. I'm the CEO for CFG Health Systems in Marlton, New Jersey. And I'd like to begin by thanking all the freeholders, also President Gill and your distinguished colleagues for considering awarding us the contract and continue our work in Essex County Corrections. It has been without precedent, a very challenging time for everyone, but especially for the healthcare workers, the physicians and the nurses and the people that are the first in line to deal with patients coming into the facility and treating them and staying abreast of everything, as well as protection for the inmates and the staff. I wanted to also go on record and personally thank all the nurses, all the physicians, all the med techs, all the assistants, Madeline Bell, the Health Services Administrator, and Dr. Lionel Anisette, the Medical Director, whose leadership and vision has helped us been successful so far with this. But I will also say that these healthcare services don't exist in a vacuum. They don't just happen in a vacuum. It takes the cooperation and the leadership of Al Ortiz, the director of the facility, as well as the warden and the security. We don't operate in a vacuum. And I also want to compliment the administration, Phil Elijah, and his responsiveness and cooperation, and as well as prodding to make sure that we have as safe an environment as is possible during the COVID crisis. With those thank yous, I'd like to turn my microphone over to Dr. Lionel Anisette, and then we'll be happy to take any questions you may have. Dr. Anisette, are you on? Yes, I am. I don't know if everyone can hear me.
Yes. Yes.
Go ahead, Doc.
I don't know. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Good evening, honorable commissioners. It's my pleasure and an honor to present myself and my team. I know the last time that we spoke, we talked about a number of projects, and then all of a sudden, unprecedented times came about. And as that saying says, maybe live in interesting times. These are these times. And but I'm glad to say that many of the commitments that we made to you at the last time we presented, in terms of the epidemic of drug addiction, we didn't take our eyes off those prizes. So we've been able to implement that program in the midst of this pandemic, and with the leadership, as our CEO said, Les Pascal, with the leadership of this administration, with Phil Elijah, with Director Ortiz, with my teammate Madeline Bell, we've been able to take our team and our nurses, our doctors, our providers from our CNAs, and they've showed up. And we were able to basically harness the resources that we had and attack this problem. Yes, it was unprecedented. Yes, it was a challenge, but I think our team rose to that challenge. And that's why I stand before you today. And I can tell you that we have put that effort out, and the results have shown for themselves. Our efforts have been collective, multidisciplinary. We've reached out outside of the state. We've reached out to the federal, the state, and don't want to neglect our Essex County Department of Health. They've been champions, supplying us with resources, guidance, testing. If you walk into Essex County right now, before you can even move, you're getting temperature checked, you're getting symptoms checked. If a detainee or one of our patients comes in, there's a pre-booking staff that was not there before, screening these folks. We're trying to make sure that all of our people, those that are incarcerated under detention, no matter under any jurisdiction, those that are working there, that they stay safe, and that's our goal. And as we go into this next chapter with the next wave that's come upon us, we're ready. And we're working hand in hand with as many partners as we can. to again meet this challenge. So it's a distinct pleasure to be here tonight to be able to announce to you that we have kept the mission alive.
Any questions regarding medical?
Mr. President, I don't have a question on the quality of the service or even the nature of the service. It's more of a process question based on a letter that was submitted in for the public comment section from an attorney for the unsuccessful bidder in this one. So my question is directed to the administration. Just to the extent you can comment on this letter, and I'll give some context to it. There was a letter submitted which was read in part by the clerk from an attorney for WellPath LLC, who was the unsuccessful bidder, as I said, for these services. According to this letter, they filed a bid protest with the county. The county rejected the bid protest, but then subsequently held a hearing on the matter. And the county administrator issued a final decision denying that bid protest. And I think from what I'm reading here, it was rejected as being non-responsive for submitting two price quotation forms, and that's in their letter. So I don't think I'm saying anything that's protected or not appropriate for the open part of this meeting. So, and clearly the bidder wanted that read into the record and submitted the letter. Is there anything else the board needs to know about this, or can you expand on the process or the reason for rejecting that bid and selecting CFG? I understand CFG is the incumbent here, but we have a new bid. So I was hoping you could speak to that a little bit.
Robert, do you want me to? Sure.
Yes, County Council, please.
Courtney Gassione, Essex County Council. So in response to Freeholder Council's question, first with regard to process, the process is that in this particular case, the bid that was submitted by WellPath was rejected by our purchasing department, as you point out, as being non-responsive. The basis for that rejection was that contrary to the bid specifications, there was several sections in the bid specifications that indicate that only a single bid or single price quote could be submitted by the bidders. And contrary to that, WellPath submitted two pricing sheets, one identified as a base bid and the second as an alternative bidding sheet. The determination was made by purchasing that rendered the bid unresponsive because it was contrary to the particular requirements of the bid specification. After that rejection was issued by purchasing, as Mr. Parlavecchio indicated, there was a bid protest filed by WellPath. At that point, it came to my office for review. We confirmed the decision of the Office of Purchasing that the bid was in fact non-responsive, and in fact that by submitting a second alternative bid quotation in their bid, WellPath in fact placed themselves in a competitive advantage over other vendors, as no other vendors had the opportunity to submit a original bid plus an alternative bid based on other factors. So based on our case law in the state of New Jersey, as well as our own internal processes and the language in the bid specifications, we upheld the determination of purchasing. They advised WellPath of that result, and WellPath did in fact ask for a hearing, which was held this past Monday. Mr. Jackson, as the county administrator, oversees internal bid protest hearings. He listened to all of the information from WellPath, much of which was identified in the letter they submitted to the Board of Commissioners. And after the county had the opportunity to present its position as well, the hearing concluded and Mr. Jackson rendered his decision yesterday, and it advised the parties. So that brings us to where we are today. And the information that has been submitted by WellPath to the commissioners is all information that has been reviewed by both my office, the Office of Purchasing, and Mr. Jackson. My position remains the same in that the bid was properly rejected for not being responsive. And although they would have been the lowest bidder had they properly submitted their bid, pursuant to local public contracts law, when a bid is non-responsive, it must be rejected under the law. So that's where we are today, and the county administration is ready to move forward with an award of the bid with the commissioner's approval to CFG.
Okay, Mr. President, if I could just follow up. So, Courtney, because by the fact that WellPath submitted two price quotations where the requirement in the specs were to submit a single one, that rendered it unresponsive. And whether or not the submitted price was the lowest or would have been the lowest, you don't even get to that evaluation or analysis because the bid was unresponsive. And I think, as you said, it was not a level playing field. Or an unfair advantage is what you said. So irrespective of the price, you don't even get to that step because the bid submission was invalidated for the dual submission. Is that correct?
Courtney Gassione, Essex County Council, that is correct.
Okay. And it sounds like the administrative process, and I'm not talking about the legal process or any court submissions, but the administrative process has now been exhausted, I guess, in terms of filing a protest, responding to that, holding a hearing, and then coming up with an administrative decision internally.
That is correct. The internal process has been concluded. However, WellPath, does have other avenues for recourse if they choose to do that.
Thank you. I don't know if anybody else has any questions. I don't.
Okay, if we're done with that, bring up item 63.
Okay.
Mr. President, to you, is that okay to move on to 63?
Yep, please.
Item 63 is a contract award to Ironbound Medical. I have with us Jill Bosano. She is the marketing director for Ironbound Medical. They perform our pre-hire, new hire physicals. Yeah.
Hi, thank you everyone for hearing me tonight. This is Jill from Ironbound Medical Services. We specialize in occupational medicine for the businesses in Newark and the surrounding area. We currently provide pre-employment physical exams for Essex County Corrections that are compliant with the Police Training Commission's requirements for law enforcement candidates. And we appreciate the opportunity to continue to work with Director Ortiz and Essex County Corrections. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Okay.
Mr. President, through you, if no further questions, I'll move on to item number 65.
Please.
Okay, item 65 is a contract award to SHI International. Mr. Carl Hunt is on. He can better explain what we're doing there.
Carl Hunt, Chief Information Officer. This is to provide services for the inmates so that they can speak to their lawyers and their, anyone else that they need to correspond with. And this is due to the COVID-19 restrictions that visitors cannot get to the correction center. Also, this provides additional services where if they need to do any remote access to the library for any things that they need to look up, this will allow them to do it. Any further questions I can answer, and this is for the entire population.
Okay.
President, if you don't have any further questions on that one, I'll move on to item 91.
Please.
Item 91, Department of Corrections contract award to DCO Energy, the sole responsive and bidder for the maintenance 2-year agreement. I have Mr. Eckert, the EVP of DCO, and Mr. Dave Del Vecchio. Gentlemen.
Good evening, and my name is Fred Eckert, EVP of Operations. I want to thank Director Ortiz and the freeholders for allowing us to bid and for consideration of our bid on this project. DCO Energy has been with the county now since 2002. We've been doing this work at the correctional facility. So this is probably our 7th or 8th renewal of this contract. The contract provides all the operations and maintenance staff for maintenance at the facility. We have 4 administrative personnel and 14 craft at this facility. The craft are represented by Local 68. They are a combination of electricians, mechanics, and shift operators. In addition to that, we in the bid have all the material maintenance and subcontractors that are needed to operate the jail. This year, there were several other items added: hot water heater replacements, grease trap gate trolleys, and some other caulking, very specific work that had to be done at the jail that was in need of repair. The contract is pretty much in line with all the other years, with actually a minor de-escalation of the total costs. And again, it handles all the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, building systems, fire suppression, building management system, ventilation and air conditioning of the facility, all that maintenance. Any questions?
Mr. President, Al Ortiz, Director, I'm requesting the passage of all these contracts and items. We'll appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Parlavecchio.
I don't have any additional questions.
Okay. Mr. McInerney?
No questions.
Okay, freeholders, additional questions or comments? Okay, I have a motion from Vice President Richardson and from Commissioner Siebel to take resolutions 62 through 65 and 91 as one. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Cooper.
Yes.
Commissioner Graham, absent. Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Luciano.
Yes.
Commissioner Mercado.
Yes.
Commissioner Pomares.
Yes.
Commissioner Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Commissioner Siebel.
Yes.
Commissioner President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you.
Mr. President, may I make a note, inform anyone who's watching about the next public comment?
Sure.
If you're calling in for the next public comment session coming up shortly regarding non-agenda items, if you're calling in, the number is 855-756-7520. That's 855-756-7520. The password is 69910. Password is 69910. You will be acknowledged to speak in the order that your call was received. Emails received for public comment will be read after the calls are completed. That is the announcement for the next public comment session, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to resolution number 66, which we can read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. President, this is from the Office of the Prosecutor. It's a resolution approving participation with the State of New Jersey Operation Helping Hand Grant for the fiscal year 2020. That is from September 1st, 2020 to August 31st, 2021. The funding is the amount of $47,619. And this is a wonderful program that identifies individuals who are opioid dependent and are subject to criminal arrest, but instead of that, they are presented with an opportunity for treatment instead of incarceration.
Okay, Mr. Parlavecchio.
No questions.
Mr. McInerney.
No questions.
Freeholders, any additional questions? Okay, seeing and hearing none. We have a motion from Vice President Richardson, second by Commissioner Johnson. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Siebel,
Yes.
Commissioner Vice President Richardson,
Yes.
Commissioner Pomaretz,
Yes.
Commissioner Mercado,
Yes.
Commissioner Luciano,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Graham, absent Commissioner Cooper,
Yes.
Commissioner President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Just note, Madam Clerk, that the mover and the second on that were not the original indicated movers and seconds. So just for the staff.
Oh, thank you for it. We'll make sure. I appreciate it.
67 through 88. In 97.
Mr. President, may I have a comment?
Sure.
If it's not too late, I would like to be included in number 75 in memory of Kay Slattery. And also for 77 in memory of Theodore Green Sr., the father of the mayor of East Orange, Ted Green. I'd like to be included in those two.
Okay, without objection.
Through you, Mr. President, I also would like to be included in number 77 and number 87.
Okay. Without objection.
Perhaps number 77 ought to be by acclamation for the mayor of East Orange's father.
Sure. No objection. I think 77 might have been, but without objection, of course. I do think 77 might have already been delivered, but.
Well, perhaps next time we can be asked.
Yep. So.
So noted, Mr. President. We will make it by acclamation for the record.
Yeah, I don't know, Madam Clerk, if you or Commissioner Cooper know if this has already been sent to the family.
Freeholder President, yes. Unfortunately, the service was pretty quick. It was a pretty quick turnaround. We did do it by acclamation. We submitted a proclamation as well as a letter duly from the board.
Very good.
I will confirm that a letter of condolences from the whole board was also presented.
Very good. Okay.
I would appreciate it if we could be notified in the future.
So noted.
Is it too late for me to be included for number 75? For Kay Slattery?
Yeah, we will include you on 75, and that will be part of the permanent record. Through you, Mr. President.
Very good. Okay. So I have a motion from Freeholder Johnson and a second from Freeholder Luciano to take 67 through 88 and 97 as one. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper. I was doing so well. Commissioner Cooper, yes. Commissioner Graham, absent. Commissioner Johnson.
Yes.
Commissioner Luciano. You're on mute. Commissioner Luciano? You're on mute. I will get back to Commissioner Luciano. Counselor, I see a visual thumbs up. You confirm that that's a yes?
Yes.
From
It is
Commissioner
verbal.
Luciano.
You got a verbal yes from him.
Okay, Commissioner Mercado,
Yes.
Commissioner Pomares,
Yes.
Commissioner Vice President Richardson,
Yes.
Commissioner Siebel,
Yes.
Commissioner President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay. Moving to resolutions number 92 through 94. Mr. Jackson.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Items 92, I will be super brief. 92 through 94 are purely housekeeping items with the state of New Jersey. The board acted on these items previously, and yeah, a bit of semantics just to make it acceptable for the state to accept the language of the budget insertions. That's it for all three.
Okay. Mr. Pawlowski.
No comments, no questions.
Mr. McInerney, on mute.
No, I'm here. I didn't hear you, Mr. President. I'm sorry. I don't have any problem with these. These
Yep,
are pretty standard.
92 through 94. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah, they're fine.
Freeholders, any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, we have a motion from Freeholder Mercado and a second from Freeholder Pomares on 92, 93, 94. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Siebel,
Yes.
Commissioner Vice President Richardson,
Yes.
Commissioner Pomares,
Yes.
Commissioner Mercado,
Yes.
Commissioner Luciano, absent Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Graham, absent Commissioner Cooper,
Yes.
Commissioner President Gill.
Yes.
So moved. And through you, Mr. President, as a reminder, please mute your mics if you're not speaking.
Okay, moving to report of board committees. Legislative report. Oh,
Yeah, Freeholder President, can I just give a quick committee report, please?
absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank the board for joining me as the board of the whole to go over the banking and review committee we had the number of banks that we do business with at the county appear before us and present their reports, their annual CRA reports. We reviewed their ratings that they received, and specifically we made highlight and discussions of their lending practices, customer service practices, and the foreclosure products and services that many of them have implemented to help residents and business owners deal with some of the financial fallout from the pandemic. Most of the banks had really, really good programs, and we were impressed and excited with a lot of the presentations that they had made. It was only one or two that I think could really use some improvement around foreclosures and some other things. There's one bank I'm going to highlight that did not appear before us, which was Bank of America. Unfortunately, due to the banking, their internal rules around Zoom and the security issues that exist with Zoom, they were prohibited from appearing before us, but I want to put on the record that they did indeed send in a written report to us. And we've asked that they share all of their community banking information, development offices with us, especially around the area of interest that Freeholder Vice President Richardson asked about, so that we could make some connections with some of our constituents and organizations that we all represent. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, and thank you for your diligence on that, on the continued implementation of that ordinance, Commissioner Cooper. Thank you for that. Any questions on the on the report of the board committee? Hearing and seeing none, legislative reports, written communication, unfinished business, new business. Okay, Madam Clerk, let's go to the public comment session on non-agenda items. However, since we're meeting remotely, the public has had the opportunity to submit questions and comments for consideration, and they have the opportunity to call in. Madam Clerk.
Mr. President, at this time, our public information officer will announce the callers so they can state their comment or question, and be reminded that you have 3 minutes to speak. Please do not have your laptop or any electronic devices on while calling in. At this time, we're only accepting calls pertaining to non-agenda items. Our public information officer will take it from here. Do we have any callers in the queue?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We do. Chalo Malumba, Public Information Officer for the Board of Commissioners, that's the County Board of Commissioners. Our first caller is Carrie Murphy. Ms. Murphy, please state your name for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak. You may begin.
Hi, Carrie Murphy. I started calling out for one reason, but after listening to this meeting, it was completely disturbing that you all would laugh about, hey, it's just doing business, using Aetna when you have a lawsuit with them going on in another manner. It's just taxpayers' monies, right? It's perfectly normal, right? That was really shameful. How about you guys start using Aetna dental services or any healthcare services at the Essex County Jail? Why don't you start doing that? Any healthcare services. I know that you guys had 2 deaths in the jail in April 2020. Can anyone tell me how many deaths you had since, let's go from just 2017. Let's go just to then. How many deaths? How many freeholders, or I guess now commissioners, how many commissioners are going to send holiday cards to those families where they had deaths of loved ones in that jail? I don't know. Why don't you spend some of our tax monies and get them a nice fruit basket? I'm sure they'll appreciate that. It's disgusting and shameful. and then I'm listening to monies for the turtle zoo to feed the animals. Nice. How about feeding the people in the jail some non-moldy foods? How about that? Why don't you take our tax monies and do that? how about you guys all take your family for the holidays, whether you celebrate Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Christmas? Why don't you take your whole family, bring your kids, spend an afternoon at the jail, and sit with an inmate or detainee and have a nice moldy meal with them? Disgusting and shameful. Now, let's move on to the other thing I heard about fixing, and I say that loosely, fixing the jail. The construction workers, I don't know if I heard plumbing. Are they all going to be union workers? Any of you Democrats getting a kickback from those construction vendor services? I would like to know. Let's talk about storing the sheriff vehicles along with Homeland Security vehicles.
You have 30 seconds.
How convenient for you people. I want to read the ODA directive. Provided access to ICE to a detained individual for an interview. You guys had the most out of all the jails in the county, 360 cases. Provided notice to ICE of a detained individual for upcoming releases, 168 cases. Shame on you. End the ICE contract, and I demand humanity in that jail. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Pamira Besman. Please state your name for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak. You may begin.
Pamira Besman.
You may begin. You can speak.
Oh, thank you. Hello, honorable freeholders, Mr. President, Madam Clerk. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Pamira Besman. I'm a resident of Essex County and a community leader and a business owner. I've built my professional career in the corporate pharmaceutical industry, working for some of the largest global corporations in different roles of responsibility in anything from new products, marketing, R&D, and global strategic operations. I have personally managed US-based and global teams working on pharmaceutical and over-the-counter products, personally led the flu vaccine program nationally for one of my employers. So I am a bit knowledgeable about the development cycle of ethical pharmaceuticals, proper protocols, and the product life cycle for safe and effective products. I'm calling in to specifically comment on the vaccine program you mentioned as your agenda item number 1. I'm quite concerned about the fact that this vaccine, using an experimental first time ever mRNA technology, is being rushed to market with a significantly truncated timeline. It skipped animal studies and proper clinical trials. I'm very concerned that all SARS-CoV vaccine development attempts since 2002 failed due to test mammals dying when challenged with the wild virus, and this step was skipped for the COVID-19 vaccine. I wanted to ask you, have you personally had a chance to look into these protocols and understand the risks, or are you assuming that higher level organizations and authorities are doing this? On December 1, I attended the CDC's Advisory Committee for Immunization Practices meeting when they discussed the emergency use authorization. Panelists and voting members confessed that they had no access to the long-term safety, efficacy, reactogenicity, or transmission data at the time of making their vaccine rollout recommendation and voting for phase 1A, which you just discussed. They even mentioned that there is no data available on immunocompromised individuals and the elderly population in a long-term care facility setting, and yet these individuals are on the rollout plan for phase 1A. Did you know that none of the leading vaccine candidates have included immunocompromised individuals, children, and pregnant or lactating women in their studies? I am very concerned that the vaccine makers and administrators have obtained blanket liability immunity in the case of injury and death. In the case of injury or death in Essex County, who will assume liability?
You have 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
I would like to also increase awareness on the PCR test, where the Nobel Prize winning innovator, Kary Mullis, himself declared that the use of these tests without accompanying symptoms is wrong. And by running the test at high enough threshold, you could get anybody positive on any virus. I would like to encourage you to demand transparency on the cycle threshold being used across Essex County and reject all test results that are above 35. The ideal
cycle
Your time is
count
up.
should
Your
be.
time is up. You have to wrap up. Your time is up.
Thank you so much. I look forward to staying in touch with you on following up on these topics. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, we do not have any callers in the queue waiting to speak.
Thank you. As our practice, all questions asked will receive a response in writing. Mr. President, I do have a few public comments sent via email.
Okay.
The first one was submitted by Lucas Kwong, no address given. I am an Asian American professor of English literature at CUNY. As the largest urban public university in the county, CUNY is proud to support a vibrant community of immigrants, including DACA recipients. In that light, I consider it a professional obligation to express my deep concern over the precedent that your county has set with respect to immigrant rights. As COVID-19 spiked in May, local law enforcement transferred Hugh Hun, a 49-year-old refugee from Vietnam, into ICE custody. The punitive reason? A conviction from over 30 years ago that he's already served time for. Since then, Hugh has been detained at Essex County Correctional Facility in Newark, New Jersey. In other words, ICE has needlessly risked the health and well-being of a father and caretaker of an elderly parent, ripping him from his family. Hugh's story is far from unique in Essex County. This very week, Attorney General Renwall's annual Immigrant Trust Directive Report for 2019 revealed that Essex County leads all counties in New Jersey in providing ICE access to detained individuals, notifying ICE of upcoming individual releases and holding individuals for ICE beyond eligible release. The other counties aren't even close. Essex is easily the most ICE collaborating county in New Jersey. In defending its ICE contract, Essex County officials raised the question of where people will be transferred to if the contract ends. Last week, ICE answered that question. It will keep people in New Jersey. They're already looking for up to 900 more beds. Moreover, while organizations like Salvation and Social Justice and the ACLU are fighting to release people from New Jersey's prisons due to the threat of COVID-19, ICE is working to reincarcerate them in your jail. ICE has been making that space for the last month through transfers and deportations. Does it take much imagination, I have 30 more seconds, to wonder what will happen next to people like you? The COVID-19 transmission rate in Essex County is approaching 1.6, the highest rate in the state. While Newark takes extra precautions, the Essex County administration continues to accept intakes and transfers from ICE enforcement as if a pandemic was not ravaging our communities. The remainder of this letter will be read into the record at a later time. He ends, thank you for listening on behalf of the Democratic Socialists of America. Lucas Kwan. Similar comments regarding this issue, the detention of Mr. Hung, the calling for Essex County to end its contract with ICE, and calling for the release of ICE detainees while noting the COVID-19 transmission rate in Essex County were submitted by the following people and will be read into the record in their entirety at a later date. June Cook, Jake Efros of Montclair, New Jersey, Sarah Lakowski, Rebecca Gu, Kieran, Robin, Max Friedman, Camilla Marcone, Frank Geyer, Nicole Parcher, and Clint Blakely. The next comment was submitted by Nicholas Carbonara of Maplewood, New Jersey. Dear Essex County Commissioner Board, my name is Nicholas Carbonara. I'm a resident of Maplewood Township in Essex County, and thank you for taking the time to read this public comment. I've submitted public comments to the Essex Commissioner Board regarding immigrant detention in Essex County before. However, I feel compelled to reach out again because I recently became aware that Essex County is responsible for granting ICE access to detained people, providing ICE with information regarding the release of detained people, and continuing to hold people on behalf of ICE past the point at which they would otherwise qualify for release. This information comes from the Attorney General's annual Immigrant Trust Directive report. As a constituent of the county that, according to these numbers, collaborates with ICE to the greatest extent, I urge you to take action. Please end the county's contract with ICE immediately and halt all intakes from ICE. There are many reasons why this should be done, but chiefly this is a public health issue. In the midst of the pandemic that is expected to swell to its highest point the next few weeks, and in a county that has among the highest COVID rates in the state, the risk posed to incarcerated people in Essex County has never been higher. I believe direct, immediate action is needed to prevent more deaths. As you may be aware, 61 organizations called upon Hudson County to end its contract with ICE, including, among others, the American Friends Service Committee, Doctors for Camp Closure, Faith in New Jersey, New York State Youth Leadership Council, and Unidad Latino in Action, New Jersey. They were joined on Tuesday by a large number of individual New Jerseyans, including formerly detained people, lawyers, doctors, activists, and other concerned citizens. I believe that this outpouring of the concern is not restricted to Hudson County alone. I say this as a resident of Essex and as someone who has come to know many in my community and beyond who share these beliefs. Please take action in Essex County contract with ICE immediately. Halt all intakes by ICE. There is very little time for delay. Okay, the next comment was submitted by Gillian Morello of Montclair. I demand that you immediately halt all intakes from ICE in interest of public health and that you work responsibly to end your contract with ICE altogether. Essex County leads all counties in New Jersey in providing ICE access to detained individuals, notifying ICE of upcoming individuals' releases, and holding individuals for ICE beyond their eligible release. The other counties aren't even close. Essex County is easily the most ICE collaborating county in New Jersey. Both Senator Booker and Senator Menendez released statements opposing the ICE contracts. They urge all counties, including Essex, to terminate these contracts and even use the term blood money. Your collaboration with ICE not only serves no good purpose, it facilitates the atrocities of ICE throughout the county. You're participating in the racist cruelty that immigrant detention engenders, and is an immoral imperative that you end your ICE contract. The final comment was submitted by Jeffrey Feld of Short Hills. Okay, and this is for non-agenda items. And this is number 6. He had a list of several, and the first 5 were for agenda items. Did the board president review and authorize the December 11th, 2020 written response to Attorney Feld? Number 7, when did each freeholder receive a copy of the state's long-term tax exemption law handbook issued on or about November 18th, 2020? Number 8, when did each freeholder learn that the DLGS executive director, a local finance board chair, under whose watch the September 24th, 2020 virtual meeting guidance and long-term tax exemption handbook were issued, was to become the NJHMFA executive director effectively January 1st, 2021. Number 9, with respect to the county 2020 calendar year 2020 audit. What steps has the county legislative branch taken to ensure adequate mandatory annual long-term tax exemption audit disclosures in the upcoming calendar year 2020 audit to be prepared by Samuel Klein and Company? Number 10, what steps has the county legislative branch taken to collect all long-term tax exemption revenues due the county from all Essex County municipalities under the long-term tax exemption law? Number 11, who authorized a written legal opinion or memorandum reference in the December 11th, 2020 written response that the non-urban renewal entity NJHMFA long-term tax exemption was not repealed and replaced effective April the 17th, 1992. Number 12, who authorized a written legal opinion or memorandum reference in December the 11th, 2020 written response that no long-term tax exemption revenues are due and owing the county? C, City of Orange Township, calendar year 2018 and calendar year 2019 audits. Number 13, who authorized the written legal opinion or memorandum reference in the December 11th, 2020 responses that the county's long-term tax exemption audit disclosures were adequate? See City of Orange Township, calendar year 2018 and calendar year 2019 audits. Number 14, who authorized a written legal opinion or memorandum that the same lawyer can simultaneously represent the county's executive and legislative branch in a Newark 2 annual audit disclosure and collection dispute? Time is up, and the remainder of this letter will be read into the record in its entirety at a later time. Mr. President, that concludes the public comment session on non-agenda items.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Again, as a practice, all of those requests for questions will be responded to in writing. Commissioner comment session. Any comments? Just to say, I believe, Madam Clerk, according to the schedule I was given, we will not have a meeting on the 30th.
It is unlikely, Mr. President, that we will, but we did advertise as a placeholder in case something critical comes up from administration. If there is a meeting, it will be a very short one. But it appears at this time that it's unlikely.
Okay, just so there's no confusion, since the agenda that's posted says our next meeting will be in January. So I just don't want there to be any confusion for anybody who's watching now or who has looked at our agenda for today, which lists our next meeting as January 6th. There may be a meeting on the 30th. If there is no meeting on the 30th, just wishing everyone out there, all my colleagues, to have a happy and healthy holiday season. If you've already celebrated Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year if I don't see anyone between now and then. If we don't meet on the 30th, looking forward to seeing everyone at our reorganization meeting on the 6th of January. That is all that I have. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Before we adjourn, Mr. President, I'd just like to say happy holidays to each and every one of you. For those of you who are still out and about, be careful out there. The snow is coming down, and have a safe and healthy holiday to each and every one of you and your families. Have a good night. I'll make the motion, Mr. President, to adjourn.
Second.
Very good. Meeting adjourned. Thanks all.
Thanks.
Good night, everyone.